Alright. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got my levels. Okay. Alright, that's good. That's good. That's good. Oh, goodness gracious. There we go. Get things situated here. Hopefully, keyword is hopefully, I'm doing this on my PC and I hope nothing goofy happens this time around. Hopefully things will go correctly. Let me get this loaded.
1999.
I hit pause. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool. I'll give it a few minutes, just have everybody pile on in, and we'll go ahead and get started. Hopefully it sounds good. Like I said, doing things a little different here. One can hope. Sometimes technology is just weird. Interesting. I was just seeing what Frankie Muniz said after the truck race. I admit, I was super tired from my early shift. I ended up falling asleep and missing the truck race. Caught the highlights, but nobody respects me. Well, you know, I feel like Frankie's gonna learn a lot, and you're just gonna have to learn a lot, and in a way, yeah, you do need to earn your respect. Earn your stripes, as they say, that kind of stuff. Red Ben, how are you doing? How you doing? I'm just gonna go ahead and promote the stream real quick. I am live tonight. Stop doing it. There we go. There we go. Yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying your day. I hope, I'm assuming some of you guys probably just got off from watching the Xfinity Series race where, well, let's face it, Austin Hill was the class of the field. He was the class of the field, I didn't. Okay. Yeah, he was just, and I saw it last week. I mean, the RCR guys were just on a whole different level, and sometimes you get that. So, gotta tip your cap to whoever you need to in that case. I'll go ahead and post it on Instagram too. There we go. Let's see, Andrew, how you doing? That might be the final bow we ever see from Kyle Busch. Well, we'll see. He's been so good for so long, and you hope that, you eventually earn respect for people as, at one time, everyone's like, oh, he's always winning. And now it's like later on, you never really appreciate how good somebody was until potentially they hit that decline in their career. It's happened to guys like Jimmy Johnson, for instance. I feel, like I said, I've said before that sometimes he doesn't get his flowers. And, hey, he finished third at Daytona. Did you find my IG message I talked about last time? I probably missed it or just forgot to take a look at it, but okay. I'll try and take a look at it later. I may have missed it or something along the lines of that. I'm trying to see if I can find it, but message me again if you can there, Alpha Sierra. But anyway, today we're doing live director's commentary of Sunday Night Lights 1999. I'll just kind of talk through it and stuff like that. If you guys have any questions regarding SNL 99, or of course, we'll talk about updates for Sunday Night Lights 2000. Jet is running a little late. He'll be in the chat later. Let's see. Before we do that, though, of course, feel free to talk about the races today. Like I said, just got done watching the Xfinity race. Good timing, actually, since the race just wrapped up and all that. Yeah, I saw Kyle Busch beat Freese in a photo finish at the line. It was so unfortunately I only saw the highlights of the truck race, I admit, but yeah. Tomorrow could be the day of the Fords, but we'll see. Yeah, and I guess I'll talk about my trip in Daytona. I had a blast down there. My friends Michael and John tagged along. We all went together and just had a good time. Met all kinds of people. Big shout out to Brayton Laster and his folks and Wayne Peterson's team for having us have credentials again this year. Just great people. And I've grown so much appreciation for the ARCA Garage and some of those smaller teams that they work their butts off, Some of those guys, they work their tails off, and say what you want, but, they're there because they love doing it, and they love racing, There are guys who, been racing a long time who find a lot of enjoyment out of racing in ARCA, so... And obviously, yes, I've been around Cletus McFarland's hauler and all that. So, I mean, the ratings for the ARCA race was great, which is awesome to see. So, yeah, there's that. I'll talk more later. But a couple things I wanted to get out of the way first. The first thing I want to talk about is the results for the All 90s team that we've been doing. I will show you those results here in just a moment. So yeah, and again, thank you guys so much for voting and all that. Seriously, appreciate all the support. It's been a lot of fun, and it's crazy to imagine that we've gotten so far in this timeline, and there's only so much more to tell. We're only getting started, so we'll go ahead and start with our. Let me see if this is correct. No, the picture's all blown up again. Okay. Oh, well, what can you do? I'll fix it. Whoop. Yeah, it's good enough. So, we'll start off with the All-90s ballot. It's the best of the best, of course. Of course, what you saw before, the finalists, they all won. But this was just like, who was the best of the best, as like an extra milestone for some of these guys. So, Driver of the Decade, you said Rusty Wallace. I mean, pretty good choice. For the mid-90s, he went on a dominating run, and he's still being dominant. Four-time champion. 88, 94, 95, 97. Especially that absolutely dominant 1997 season. Just unreal, really, when looking back on it. So... Team of the Decade, you said Team Sabco, a.k.a. Sabco Racing. It all started in 92 when Kyle Petty took home the championship. And then, of course, the additions of Patty Moyes and Shauna Robinson to really become the most dynamic and now dominant team in NASCAR. They've they've just about pretty much taken the spot that Hendrick Motorsports is in real life, that perhaps, this isn't going to be like the top team of NASCAR moving forward, especially going into the 21st century. So, yeah, once again, Driver of the Decade goes to Rusty Wallace. Team of the Decade goes to Team Sabco. Again, this was just like who was the best of the best. Did you see Cletus's car? I did. I was walking around with my credentials. I was able to be within the ARCA garage and meet all kinds of people. So yeah, I saw Cletus's car, and even after the wreck, the ARCA garage, man, it was almost looked like a junkyard. Unfortunately, with how how crazy that race was, and I got some really nice photos and all that. So yeah, it was a good time, and my friend actually one of my friends got a picture with Cletus. All right, so next is our paint scheme of the decade, and our decade's most popular driver. Paint scheme of the decade went to Patty Moyes' Barbie paint scheme, her 1996 to 1999 car. Big shout out to Rose Jam for painting that Barbie car. They do a tremendous job with the cars they make, and they've been really helping out a lot behind the scenes with SNL and getting SNL 2000 ready. So they've been doing a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of behind the scenes work. So we're pretty much prepped to get races going after a ton of planning and a ton of painting of the cars. So we're getting close, and just yeah. I asked the question just as you were around his holler. Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean, and obviously, at one point, me and my friends are standing there talking, and I'm not going to kid you, Elio Castroneves comes walking past us. I'm just standing there like, okay, I need to be professional, but in my mind, I'm like, holy crap, that's Elio, man. Like, that's Elio. So, we're all just like, wow, that's pretty cool. So, at Daytona, when you're in the infield, you never know who you're going to run into. So, made some connections. I met some people. Re-met some people I remember from previous years. So it was really cool to get to see everybody and all that stuff. Daniel, how you doing? Thanks for joining. What do you think of Leland Honeyman Jr. and the future of Derek Cope's team? I mean, they put a good run in today, and a run like that can go a long way, and you hope that it can continue to build the team moving forward, and you're just, it's a new team, so you're just trying to get the feel of things and try to improve week after week after week. So now that we're out of the restrictor plates, or I shouldn't say, the super speedways, now we kind of get to see, okay, how they're going to do on the road courses, how they're going to do on the short tracks, and stuff like that. So, hey, we'll see what happens. Pretty solid. So, yeah, I said paint scheme of the decade, Patty Moyes' Barbie car in the late 90s. Decade's most popular driver, you said Dale Earnhardt Sr. Can't go wrong with the Intimidator. I still think in this timeline he is still a very, very influential driver, a good spokesperson to have in the garage and for the sport, like he was in real life. Excuse me. So, TV8s, how you doing? What was your reaction to Ryan Preece flipping? Oh, man, yeah, I mean, I was sitting towards turn 4, 8 rows from the track, and yeah, I mean, I saw the big wreck break out, and I saw a car upside down. I went, oh God, who was that? And I went, oh God, that was Priest, wasn't it? Oh good Lord, which is unfortunate because earlier in the day I bought a Ryan Priest Kroger shirt that has a 60 car on it. So, yeah, I saw the replay and I was like, holy crap. Poor Ryan Priest, man. He's had some unfortunate wrecks like that. Of course, 2 years ago, he had his insane flip and the Coke 0400. So, I'm glad Ryan was okay. It was just, I've never seen a car flip like that before. And I'm sure NASCAR will take a look at it and see, like, hey, what happened here? At the end of the day, like, let's acknowledge the fact, though, that he walked out of the car. He was okay. So, as long as the drivers are safe and okay, that's what's important. I was betting on Irvin's car being the most popular. Yeah, Jet did a good job with the MBNA cars. Yeah, Daytona, you've been there a couple times. Yeah, if you can go once, go. I mean, it's unlike any other track on the schedule. Well, you talking about Byron? I want to give a shout out to Jimmy Johnson. It was like, oh well, he got lucky. He escaped the carnage. He escaped the carnage. He got third. I was thrilled for him, man. It was, a guy who's a 7-time champion and still doing this because he loves what he's doing, trying to make Legacy Motor Club better. Tip of the hat to him, man. He did a heck of a job. And he had the Shaquille O'Neal car, the retro Orlando Magic paint scheme. Man, I love that paint scheme. That is cool. I pray that we get a diecast of that car. So I was happy for Jimmy, and it was good to see him have a nice run like that and all that. So I just I couldn't. A lot of people were cheering for that, so that was cool to see, and all that. So I know John Hunter got 5th. I think Allgaier got 9th in that race. He should run for 8. Well, I do. It would be something. I do think it's cool that he's still a part of the sport and he's running a team now with Legacy. And I think slowly but surely he's going to make that team. He's going to make that team better. That was JJ's first top 5 since his last start with Hendrick. Yeah, that's right, because he finished 5th in the championship race. Yeah, I remember that. No, it's like I said, it was just cool to see that. I couldn't help but smile ear to ear for that guy because again, sometimes I feel like he doesn't kind of get the respect he deserves or like the praise because some people are like, and I'm like, guy was a 7-time champion. There was a tweet that said how stupidly similar 2005. Yeah, I did see that tweet. I thought that was kind of funny. 2005, that was the first Daytona 500 I watched. Where did Legacy get all this speed? Well, I know he's been making a lot of changes. Legacy doesn't get the stuff that the other Toyota teams do, but I think slowly but surely they're going to get there. Give them time. I think they'll get there. Jimmy's career might be on the way out, so yeah, I mean, for him to get that 3rd place finish, that's special. That's stuff to celebrate about. Regardless how you felt about how stuff happened in the weekend and stuff like that, like Speed Week and the first weekend of the season is a great time to really celebrate the sport and celebrate why we love racing and stuff like that. The kind of message that I've been trying to push to people. So I've been getting off topic here. Moments of the decade. This is the best of the best. This is the last of them right here. Winston Cup on track was Shauna's 1998 Cup title. I had a feeling that would win because that to me was just a monumental moment, if you will. It was just a monumental moment for the timeline in general. So, it was something special, and I could definitely understand that. In terms of the other series, you said Richard Petty's one last win in the Super Sportsman race at North Wilkesboro in '97. Of course, earlier that season, he had that photo finish with Matt Kenseth at Martinsville, or at least that close battle. So it was just kind of cool to, like I just talked about with Jimmy, it was kind of cool to see Petty kind of make a last run like that in the Super Sportsman Series. How do you think Tony Breininger will do? Well, we'll see how she does in the non-Super Speedway races and stuff like that. We're only 2 races in. It's early, so we'll just wait and see. Shauna's the GOAT, absolutely. Speaking of female drivers, there's the Daytona Flea Market. It's across the highway from the track. They have a bunch of those other merch tents that have you can get older diecast for a really good deal. I managed to, with the thanks of my friend Michael, I managed to find a 124 of Patty Moyes' 1998 Rhodes Furniture Xena Warrior Ford. Because that was a car I was looking for. So I got that as a diecast. And, yeah. And then another cool thing I got was like a little replica of Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it said, the last race of the millennium. So it was the 1999 Napa 500. So again, and I picked that up for $10. It was a steal. So it's cool to pick up stuff like that and see what you could find and all that. So, and then off the track moments of the decade. It was the 3 new series debuting in 1996 that definitely shifted and changed NASCAR forever, with the IMSA Stock GT Series, the DuPont Super Sportsman Series, and of course the Craftsman Super Truck Series. You and Jess should make SNL diecast. Oh, that that would be cool. I'm not an expert at that at all, but if somehow we could do that, that'd be neat. But, you know. Did Petty's last win make him the oldest winner in NASCAR history? You know what? I think so. At least a National Series race. You're right, because I think he was like 59, 60 at that point. So I think, yeah, you might be right on that. I didn't think about that. Isabella Robusto, yeah, I think she's got a lot of talent. I hope she does well. Seriously. You know, I think she's got a ton of talent. I think she has what it takes. So we'll see what happens, right? So, yeah, so those are all the best of the best for the moments for the All 90s ballot. Again, thank you all so much for voting. I really appreciate all the support and everything else. Very grateful. And, yeah, you know, SNL 2000 is going to be a lot of fun. I can promise you that. So, like I said, a lot of those cars have been painted, and we're really, 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 really close to getting the races started now. So, hang tight. We'll give you more updates as we go on and all that fun stuff. So, before we get to the live commentary, I wanna give you guys a teaser on what's to come for the next Racing Infinity. The plan is to get that video out next Saturday. So a week from today. That will be the plan. So, I figured I'm not going to say much about it. But what I'm going to say is this. The screenshot you're about to see, it speaks for itself. So there you go. Not going to give anything else away because, you know, that ruins the fun. But that is all I'll tell you. It speaks for itself. I'll give you guys a minute to look at that, and then we'll get this party started with a fun director's commentary of Sunday Night Lights 1999. And like I said, if you guys have any questions regarding anything about it, just let me know, and we'll go from there. So. Yep, and that video, I will say, is mostly done too. The Racing Infinity video. I just need to go back and, you know, clean it up, add some extra things, and, you know, polish it up and make it look nice and pretty. So, I think it came together pretty well. Again, I'm not going to give anything else away. It just speaks for itself. So I think a good amount of you have kind of figured out what it is. So it's gonna be a good one. I'm looking forward to this one. So, and I may have an idea already for 33, but we'll get there when we get there. So, yeah, and I'll talk more about the Daytona trip, and it was a lot of fun. Just, you know, getting to go to the beach as I get all this ready. If you go down to Daytona Beach, a couple places I recommend. Well, obviously besides the beach itself, right? I definitely recommend going to the North Turn. It's a restaurant / museum. It's pretty cool. It's right on the ocean, and it sits on the North Turn of where the old beach course was. There's also the Cruising Cafe, really cool racing themed restaurant. The booths are actually like old 90s NASCAR stock cars, so it's pretty cool. And the food in both places are absolutely fantastic. Was there ever a race you re-recorded because you didn't like how it turned? I've had instances where that has happened, whether there was just the race was an absolute crap show. Like, yeah, an abnormal amount of cautions, pretty much. If there's like, okay, this is unrealistic, let's go back and try again. I've done that before. With Racing Infinity, I have done 2 or 3 takes of a race if I feel like, well, okay, this race didn't have a whole lot of action, let's try this one, or the center highlight of what the Racing Infinity is about didn't really do much, so let's do another take just in case. Okay, they did better in this take. This had a lot more action. Let's do this one. So, yeah, I have done that before. It never hurts. So, if you feel like, okay, I like this take better than this take. My dad used to own an Adam Petty Sprint jacket. Oh, that's cool. I know they got his car from 2000 in the NASCAR Hall of Fame too. Are you planning on adding more field fillers? If appropriate. We don't want to like go crazy with it, but obviously we have made part-time schedules for when certain part-timers drive, but and obviously if there's field fillers and they ran a good amount of races or anything like that, then we'll throw them in there, but obviously we don't want to overdo it, essentially. Riding the beach is cool. Yeah, it's cool, just being out there on the Atlantic. I got to go on the pier that has a Joe's Crab Shack, and it was just kind of cool watching people fish. I saw somebody caught a small little, I forgot what type of shark it was, but yeah, I was like, whoa. And of course, unhooked it, threw it back into the water, but it was just like, wow, that's pretty cool. I don't normally see that, but I've seen people fish in the Ohio River, but you don't see anything like that. I think if Adam Petty was still alive, he would have topped around where Kyle did. That, or I think he would have had a similar career to Dale Jr., maybe a little fewer wins, just because of the team he was with. If he had decided to move on from the family team and go to, like, I don't know, Penske or Hendrick or something like that, then things could have been a lot better. It's hard to say what could have happened. There's infinite possibilities of what could have happened with guys like Adam Petty and Kenny Irwin and Kowicki and even Earnhardt at the end of his career. Oh, yeah, Daniel, that's, yeah, Dodge. Yeah, we might be seeing Dodge back in NASCAR soon. Apparently that they submitted a formal request to enter the Ram truck in the Truck Series next year, and the rumor I heard somewhere was that they want to go Cup racing by 2028. I just heard that somewhere. Didn't come from me, but I think it's great. We need that. We've been wanting a 4th OEM for a while, so let's do it. Let's get it done. So, and that's what Steve Phelps said yesterday. I think he was talking to Adam Stern, but just say like we just gotta get it done. So I think that's well said. That's exciting, really. I'd love to see a 4th or even maybe a 5th OEM in NASCAR. That would be awesome. So, yeah, Fork in the Road is making the... Yep! I did see that, yeah. Gray was rumored to go to Everton. Well, that's interesting. Sounds too good to be true. We'll see, If Steve Phelps is talking about it, then, we'll see, Like I said, I would love to see a new manufacturer in the sport again. So, we'll just we'll see what happens. But I, for one, would love to see Dodge could have joined the EV series. Yeah, I did get to see the Chevy EV concept up close. That was cool. In the little Chevrolet display they have there towards Pit Road. That's cool that NASCAR's doing that. I think that kind of stuff's important. Okay. Let me make sure my window capture is working. Okay. Let me test something out here. Make sure I get picture. Or else I'm going to be mad. But, let's see. Oh, that's more like it. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Perfect. Is a straight up touring car. And yeah, and the purpose behind it is just to, create more technology and bring more stuff that NASCAR can work with in the future. Training places and Project Gearshift. Pretty sure I have, yeah. So, and I think it's great that people are making fan works of SNL and all that stuff. So, okay, we'll talk more, but I do want to get this going here. I'm 30 minutes into the stream. I haven't started this, so let's go ahead and start this live director's commentary. I should have the speaker levels on. Okay, cool. Let me know if it's too loud or anything, and I'll adjust the volume. So let's do this.
1999, the last year of the beloved 1990s, a year culminating NASCAR's recent growth across the country and around the world. 1998 saw the 50th anniversary that concluded with many firsts, including the first African-American National Series champion, as well as the first female Winston Cup champion. Now heading into 1999, there are even more stories to be told, and much more to look forward to as we close in on the 21st century. This is Sunday.
Let me know if you guys can see this all okay.
A lot can happen in the span of a decade. Despite that, it's still not a long amount of time. In 1990, NASCAR began to build momentum that's kept on coming. As Mark
Braden Bunch, how you doing?
We saw the release of Days of Thunder.
So many content creators are popping up thanks to SNL. That's great to see. I think that's awesome. Seriously.
Decade, having come off a historic 50th season of NASCAR, concluding with the first ever female Winston Cup champion, Shauna Robinson. NASCAR is continuing to grow in popularity with stars from across the country, plus creating new promotional opportunities. Everywhere from merchandising with Nike Racing and the Coca-Cola Racing family to NASCAR's presence in the growing gaming market.
Yeah, shout out to Rose Jam on that Sega Sports NASCAR 2K cover.
One major addition is coming. One that could potentially be a major game changer for the sport and bring competition to the likes of Ford and General Motors. But we'll talk about that later in this video. It's time to go racing.
I love when certain things happen when I do these races, and I'm excited to just show everybody like, oh man, they're gonna love it when they see this, stuff like that.
An incredible championship run, running the table all the way.
I'm happy that KFB won today. Yeah, good to see him win a truck race. Hopefully he can, snap that losing streak in the Cup Series, that winless streak, I should say.
The schedule stays the same for 1999 at 9 races, starting at the Daytona.
The Stock GT Series is a lot of fun, just because, it's something different, but it also gives, like, a lot of drivers familiar to road racing a more of a stock car feel.
He will still be around further up the ladder.
It is a fictional game, but it's like a game that was made in this timeline along with the EA Sports game, yeah.
This meant Jack Roush had to find a new driver, and this team would pick up Darren Brasfield, who brought Visa along with him in the number 6 Ford. With Brasfield on the move, Pac West now has to find a new driver.
Yeah, we have had quite a few tiebreakers, haven't we?
Eddie Cheever's team signs Mike Borkowski to take over the number 51 that was previously occupied by Gunselman. Ron Fellows moved into the number 40 for Sapco Racing after Team Scandia closed their doors. Robbie Gordon will be focusing on open-wheel racing this season, but will still have a NASCAR presence, and we'll talk about where later. In addition to Gordon, Jeff Crosby
Bush singer to win at the Glen. Yes.
The Arcreo Wells team picking up Anthony Lazaro.
Fun fact, Arcreo Wells is PPI Motorsports.
Racing team has a new driver in Ryan
Well,
Hampton,
Cal Wells anyway.
previously racing in USF 2000 and the Rolex Sports Car Series. Cheez-It becomes
We do a lot of research when it comes to
Chip Ganassi's
figuring out
operation
like what drivers to use.
expands to the two-car team,
And when I looked up, I think I looked up Ryan Hampton and went, "Oh, this guy would be a good fit," because we were just looking for
Target
different drivers to
12
bring
cars
into the
this
Stock GT
season.
series at the time.
And lastly, perhaps the biggest story of Stock GT silly season comes from a part-timer and a new team. Tim Richmond's Hollywood Motorsports, which debuted in the Truck Series last season, opens up a part-time operation in the series. The new number 46 Haas CNC Chevrolet will run 4 races this season, and it will be driven by a 2-time winner of the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race, actor Alfonso Ribeiro. After his success in the event and his work with some professional teams in kart, Ribeiro will make
Shout out to Rose
professional
Jam for
racing
that
debut.
idea itself in general
Perhaps he
too.
could surprise some people.
Something
Just
fun and
as
different,
Harlan
you know.
did his racing
Something that I think
adventure in the 80s.
Hollywood Motorsports
The
would
season kicks
would do.
off again under
So,
lights from the Daytona Road
you never know.
Course
Maybe
as
in the
both
future they'll have
Chevrolet
Frankie
drivers
Muniz.
of Andretti and Fellows started on the front row. Ron Fellows is hoping for a big season in 1999.
There's Jet.
Being with one of the premier teams in racing. However, John Andretti broke out to an early lead.
Have you
Ron
thought about what
Fellows
team is
was
going to become
fading.
Ganassi?
Behind
Um,
Andretti, Bill Lester and Boris Said
We
were
have
back
actually
as
begun
Lester was kicking off
laying the
his title
groundwork
defense.
for
After pit stops,
2001
Boris
for
Said
that
had a
stuff,
slight lead,
but
which he himself
that's all I'm
was
going to leave it
able
as
to
there.
grow.
We have been
Andretti and Lester
laying the
back
groundwork,
behind
but I'm not going to say
However,
anything right now,
Lester
but
prevailed
we have
and slowly
we have
started
been
to
discussing
win
stuff
on
like
Boris
that.
Said.
Speaking of which, have
Lester
you have any
then
thoughts
takes the lead going into turn
on
one.
Dodge's potential return?
After that, Lester
I think it's great.
only
Like I said, I'd love to see Dodge come back. And
pit stops. And
here's
from
my
that,
question: who do you think could be the Dodge flagship
to a
if they
compact
eventually
series
go back to
champion
Cup racing? Because I think a couple
winner
teams that could
at
go there
Daytona,
are Trackhouse
Lester
and
took
Legacy.
the season
But
opener
yeah,
with John Andretti in second place. Behind them featured a
Patrick
three-wide
Dempsey.
battle at the line for
There's
sixth.
Rose Jam.
Mark Simo barely beating out Larry Gunselman and Alfonso Ribeiro, who got up to fifth off strategy. A great
Chris
team
Pratt.
battle
Oh
for
God.
him. It was a
Easy now.
dominant performance for Mark Simo Racing in the next race at Sebring,
Driven takes
as
place in the
Boris
IMSA
Said
Stock
won
GT
the
series
pole.
instead of
All
car.
three drivers,
I don't know.
Said
I don't know
and
about that.
Mark and Brian Simo, all
You know,
finished in the top
I haven't really
five.
thought much about
Said
something like
led
that
much
since
of the
that
early
movie
portion
came
of
out
the
like a year
race.
later.
He was eventually topped on pit road by none other than Bill.
Yeah, I think like Trackhouse could be the
Lester will go
flagship,
back
and
to
Legacy
back
could be
start
like
the
their.
season and win
B team.
3 in a row going back to last
You really wanted to
season.
make Driven a good movie?
Then at Portland,
Yeah,
it
let's
was
all
a
make
big
Driven
showdown
but good,
for
right?
Chip Ganassi Racing's Jeff Davis, as he scored
Reminder:
four and
Chicago
had a
Motor
double
Speedway was in that movie.
That was until Bill Lester once again got by for the lead. However, Davis was able to fight back on the front stretch. After that, he would pull away from the competition.
Benjamin Snyder, how you doing?
Winston West veteran with plenty experience.
It's an awful movie, but it's hilarious bad.
Courses
Yeah.
to get his first career win in the IMSA Stock GT Series. Perhaps more notably, the first stock car win for Chip Ganassi. Perhaps he could be a team owner to keep an eye on in the future.
Hey, Corvette, how you doing?
That wasn't all from Jeff Davis, by the way, because in the next race at
Penske
Lime
goes
Rock,
back to Dodge.
after having a brief
Maybe.
battle with Darren
I'm
Brasfield
pretty
on the
sure they're
first lap,
pretty
he had
pretty
another
happy with being at
dominating
Ford
run,
right now, but
as
you know.
Davis himself would go back-to-back, winning at Lime Rock. Jeff Davis is
Would
looking
you be
to
interested in
a
representing
threat
Grace
for
P
the
Productions as a
championship.
Grand Marshal for
Then
the
at
Online
Montreal,
Racing League
it was
rerun?
Lester on the pole as he went
Oh.
off to the races, leading for the first half of the race. Unfortunately for Jeff Davis, he got taken out around the point of the race.
Benjamin, did you want me to do like the
the
command to fire the engines?
The Simo brothers battled it out. Brian Simo was leading for a good chunk until Mark Simo and Bill Lester showed up to the party. Mark Simo would take the lead, and after Green...
Yeah, my apologies here. I kept calling him like Mark and Brian Simo, and when I was working on this, I realized, oh, it's pronounced Simo. Oops. So, sorry about that, guys.
Fun finish, as Ron Fellows was putting on a clinic.
That is what I'm talking about, yes.
Was chasing him down with 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I don't see why not. That sounds like fun. If it's just me saying, drivers, start your engines. You just send in a video of you saying the command and it will be played on the broadcast.
And Boris said would go on
okay.
at Mid-Ohio.
1 second here.
John Andretti would pick up an important win in the next race at Heartland Park with a dominating performance and a much-needed win.
Because yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that.
Would go on to get his second win.
Yeah, kind of like Southeast Missouri State, because they're called in short SEMO. My dad went to school there for a couple years.
You may also notice that Riverside has gone through some upgrades, helping improve facilities and hospitality.
Yeah, and again, shout out to the original creators of this Riverside track at WKC, those guys. The reason why I did this is because, just being realistic, Riverside would have to do this kind of stuff to become more of a world-class venue. And I think for the most part, it's come out pretty good. The hospitality stuff you see along Pit Road there, for some reason it keeps giving this a black canopy when it's not supposed to be there, so I don't know why it's doing that, but yeah. But yeah, Riverside has become more of a world-class facility. But yeah, Benjamin, I would definitely be interested in doing that.
The winners and the final standings from the 1999 IMSA Stock GT Series season. It was definitely a breakout year for Mark Seymour Racing.
ThorSport could be the first truck team to switch. Honestly, that wouldn't surprise me because ThorSport switches manufacturers every 3 to 4 years, so who knows? If female drivers international appeal. Oh, cool! Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'll get in touch with you about that for sure. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Next, we move on to the DuPont Super Sportsman Series. Last year, we saw Kerry Earnhardt take home the title just 2 years after his brother Dale Jr. did.
Waiting for an education connection car.
The title fight is wide open. For now, let's take a look at the schedule because we have 2 major additions for 1999. We have the first international date in the history of the Super Sportsman Series. The series will make a northern trip to Cayuga Speedway, a 5/8-mile short track south of Toronto. It replaces Colorado on the schedule. The other new date is the season finale for 1999, and perhaps the biggest race ever for this young series.
I think the tough part of this one was just to make sure, like, it didn't look too modern into the future. Like, try to still make it look like it's from the 90s, but, it was cool to kind of bring this in 1999 with the Daytona Super Stretch. FREE, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby.
Last year's runner-up, Kelly Williams, makes the move up to the Busch Series. The team now fields 2 full-time cars in the series, as the 33 is again fielded by Jason Jarrett, while the 32 is
what was my reaction when I discovered? I had a feeling Lester had a shot to go 2 in a row, so I was just kind of like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I've actually talked to Bill Lester a couple of times. Super nice guy, by the way. Awesome guy to talk to. And he's talked about his experiences in road racing and stuff like that. Just, just a great guy to talk to. Yep, free credit report. Yeah, they sponsored David Gilliland in 2008, I believe.
A new Cup team, however, starts up a Super Sportsman program. That being AK Racing. Alan Kowicki picks up a fellow Midwestern driver in Billy Venturini.
2005 Cup champ Billy Venturini, right there. I swear, if I speak that into existence later on.
Driving the number 7 Rain-X Ford. AK Racing has taken a slower approach to expansion than other teams.
I felt when we talked about it, and I was like, I feel like if of all the different leagues, AK most likely would do Super Sportsman, maybe trucks. But also, Allen's like 45, Irvin's like 40, so This is him saying, like, hey, I need to start building for the future. And that's basically what he's trying to do here. Nah, bro, 2005 Cup champ Ron Fellows. Yes.
With his 21-year-old son,
AK Racing and Stock GT. I mean, with him being successful in road courses, I guess it's possible, right?
And Lyndon Amick also become full-time drivers this season.
Oh, you saw the Racing Infinity teaser Corvette? Okay, good,
The
good.
newcomer stems from Hendrick Motorsports. They opened the number 51 car sponsored by GMAC for Mr. Hendrick's son, Ricky Hendrick. The 19-year-old will run 6 races this season, and he's not the only gun looking to make an impression. There's also 18-year-old Justin Labonte.
Justin Labooty. Sorry.
40 Pontiac for Joe Gibbs Racing. Justin is the son of...
I thought Ricky and Justin were pretty impressive in their part-time starts.
Other new part-timers for the season.
I'm in a Discord NRPG where Ayrton Senna's driving in Cup at 95. Oh, nice.
Jeff Fultz for Base
Jeff Fultz,
Motorsports,
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Tina Gordon for CC Welliver Racing, and Frank Kimmel, the full-time ARCA driver, racing for Larry Clement. In the opening
I think
race,
AK Racing could have been Ford's flagship truck team if that was the case. You never know.
On lap 8, Jason
All right, let's go to Disney World.
and Kirby got together, and Rick Baldwin got involved. But all
I guess you
three
could say that was goofy.
Stanton Barrett was truly the class of the field for most of this.
Yeah, how about Stanton Barrett?
As he would kick off 1999
It was cool
with the win.
watching him kind of grow into a
Going into the
pretty
next
solid
race,
driver,
Rockingham,
honestly.
Stanton Barrett was in a close battle with Billy Venturini in the closing laps. However,
Norm Benning
was
did
not
some
able to get to the
part-time
finish
Cup
on
starts
field and had to
in
pit
'99,
2 laps to go.
and I would say he's
Third
probably
in
doing a lot of
Barrett
ARCA at this
barely
point
had
as well.
enough.
I think he was in
While
real
it
life anyway.
great for Venturini, it would be victory once again for Stanton Barrett as he goes back-to-back to open the year.
Who do you think the
in
current
fashion.
women would be in SNL? Like 2025?
And Buckshot
Ooh.
Jones were easily outclassing the field in the
It's hard to
very
say.
race at Atlanta, and during
You know,
the
yeah,
middle
maybe
of the
Carson
race,
Elledge.
they went side by side for the lead, and
Maybe-
changed it several times.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Finally pulled ahead
You know,
late
maybe Haley Diggin.
after Jones short-pitted
It's hard to
try
predict
gain
because we're still like
position.
25 years away, but
Once again,
you know,
close
who knows?
late. As the two diced through lap
Max
traffic,
field size?
Porter's newer tires handed
Um,
him what he needed.
Well, for super sportsmen, it's tricky because on some of the short tracks, it only goes to a certain amount, which sucks, but it is what it is. Usually, Cup Bush, I try to do 42, the highest I can go. Trucks, I usually do the same thing too. Sometimes I'll get to that point. I just say, you know, this is a bigger track, we can do 40 trucks or something like that.
He quickly became the most dominant driver of the short tracks.
Isabella Robusto is really good. I agree.
At I-70, Wisconsin,
Devin Rouse or Zach Heron. That'd be cool, yeah. Anything's possible.
looking like a major threat for the championship.
The idea with certain sponsors, and we talk about it, and we kind of think about, like, what sponsors were used in real life that hadn't been used, and what sponsors fit with certain drivers. Like, you know, Pepsi probably wanted to be with Casey because he was a younger driver, and who he was, his family, and all that, so... Yahoo going to Adam Petty is just Sabco being a more influential team, and picking up a sponsor like that was, you know, pretty big.
The first ever International Super Sportsman Series race took place at Cayuga in Canada. And we
Oh yeah, Jamie Chadwick, that'd be interesting.
Out of two up-and-coming drivers, those being Billy Venturini, who started...
I know Tim Steele had a daughter
and
who raced.
Atwood,
I think her name's
running
Kelsey.
top 5 the whole race. However, their inexperience would bite them, as Jay Sauter would earn what would already be his...
Oh yeah, Joanna Long.
...of the season.
She definitely had a lot of potential.
It's never over until it's over. At Myrtle Beach, Billy Venturini dominated early, but after the first set of pit stops, Kirk Shelmerdine and, of course, Jay Sauter were closing.
Kirk.
Lears pitted around lap 50 of this 110-lap feature, so it seemed like everyone would need to pit until lap 102. We're just after the top...
Mariah McGriff.
Pit cycle,
I'm assuming she's related to Herschel.
Atwood would spin off each other at pit exit. And with that, the 7 cars that didn't get to pit stayed out.
Haven't heard that one.
Possibly having enough to make it. JD Gibbs held the lead at this point with his teammate, employee, and driver's son, Justin Labonte, right behind, making just his 6th start. With a Joe Gibbs 1-2, we had just a 2-lap dash to the finish. And Labonte did not hold back. He dive-bombed his boss and teammate going into turn 1. And thanks to a lapper stuck in front of them,
I didn't know about that. Interesting. I didn't know about Mariah McGriff. Okay, she's Herschel's granddaughter. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Pulled ahead. The 18-year-old son of Texas Terry, Justin Labonte,
Texas Justin.
steals it for his first career.
Yeah, I made that 44 from scratch. I was trying to base it off the Frosted Flakes 2000 scheme that Terry drove. I love how that car came out.
His first win at Louisville.
Jennifer Jo Cobb, she's been racing in Super Sportsman part-time.
As the race of the season. The race had several leaders, including Billy Venturini, Jason Jarrett, Toby Porter, and Buckshot.
Julia Landauer, yep.
At the tail of the pit
That's right, she was on Survivor.
A very strange moment. Brett Sontag, the only car who had yet to pit, got spun off of Hank Parker Jr., trapping several cars a lap down. This caused it to be a 2-car race for the most
I'm trying to remember the font that I used for McGlynn. I can't think of it at the top of my head, but just try to find something that's similar to the in real life number. Oh yeah, Aaron Crocker.
Tina Gordon got spun.
There's a lot of possibilities, right? So
points leader T-bones her, Gordon flips, and they even collect the second place car, Buckshot Jones. Jay Sauter spent a while on
in our 2003 moment.
This led to a finish for the ages, as some cars tried to make it on fuel. We restarted with 2 laps to go, but the entire top 3 of Barfield, Hamilton Jr., and Rick Baldwin all pitted. Mario Gosselin inherited the lead until he ran out of fuel, with cars going all over the
Scott, the 37 was just sitting there.
Green. 2 drivers took the white flag together.
Hey, Bull, how you doing?
Brett Sontag looking for
the next Alan Kowicki? Yeah.
as well
so many possibilities.
The best car
so much that could happen, especially not just span of 25 years, but think about what the Cup Series could look like by 2004, you know? It's going to look a lot different.
But he had the better car. Porter earns a 4th win in his breakout season for him in one of the most insane...
Angela and Amber Cope, yeah.
And takes a bite into Sauter's points lead. He finished 20th a lap down, which itself was lucky for him. Buckshot Jones, Billy Venturini, and Kirk Shelmerdine battled Jay Sauter.
Are you planning to mention TV contracts?
At North Wilkesboro.
Something I've thought of in the back of my head. Maybe I touch ground on it by 2001. I don't know. We'll see. Just if it makes sense for the lore and stuff like that.
Take the lead and use lap traffic to build a big lead. He would lead the entire second half of the race, and the Chicago native Billy Venturini gets his first career win at North Wilkesboro and the first win in the series for AK Racing. About 1/3 of the way in at Illiana.
Would NASCAR and ESPN still be around in 2001? I don't know. Fun fact, did you know that Rick Allen actually auditioned for the Fox play-by-play? And even though I think they liked what they did, they went with Mike Joy just because he had a lot more experience. Yeah, I've kind of thought about it from time to time, and maybe I'll touch ground on that at some point.
Implications. Buckshot Jones drove right into Jay Sauter, sending the 31 into the wall, putting Sauter
he turned him
for the day. Stanton Barrett would run away with the lead and go on to win afterwards.
So Larry McGreynolds would say, totally uncalled for.
Going into this race,
I mean, Jay Sauter, when Ferris did the ratings and I saw his short track rating, I was like, oh god, he's definitely gonna win. He's got a good shot at it at least. Yeah, Jeff Gordon wants a Days of Thunder sequel. I think that's awesome.
The B main is made up of those below 18th in points, and the top 8 from the B main would make the A main. Then the 26
Aggressive goes around in 2000.
for that A main. We start off our B main as a couple of potential future stars ran up front. Justin Labonte would hold off Ricky Hendrick and Frank Kimmel to be among the top 8 to advance to the A main. Here are the 8 drivers who will join.
I do enjoy Lee Diffie, yeah.
In the A main, it was a battle between.
I just realized, did I misspell Bobby Gerhardt's name? Last name? I think I did.
The two swapped the lead quite
Whoops.
until around
I think it's Gerh, not Gearh.
Distance himself from Porter and cruise to the win, despite Porter finishing in second.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon. There was talks of him doing a movie called Race Jam.
Sauter had an
I remember hearing about that.
season, earning 7 wins, 16 top 5s, and 19 top 10s with an average finish of
My online racing league has thought about adding an all-road course series. Oh, that's cool. That'd be cool. Yeah, okay, my bad. I didn't realize that from before. I misspelled Bobby Gerhardt's last name. Humiliation. Oh well. No one's perfect. We make mistakes, right? So, just learn. You gotta learn from him. EA misspelled Talladega in the early games. They did? I have to go back and look at that. I remember MLB Power Pros 2008 when Joey Votto was just showing up. They kept calling him Joey Votto. I'm like, no, it's Votto.
In 1998, clinching the championship, and he looks to go back to back. 2 new tracks.
All right, let's go truck in.
1999,
it's truck night in America, baby.
Built Chicago Motor Speedway, a 1-mile oval built just 10 miles from downtown Chicago.
I've kind of been fascinated with Chicago Motor Speedway because that track was so much closer to the city. And I definitely think if that track had been around to this day, that it definitely could have been a playoff track.
It will serve as the 14th race on the schedule. Another track added to the schedule is Irwindale Speedway, a short track
Rest in peace.
Opened down the road from Los Angeles.
We had a series based on Winston West for 2026. Oh, cool. I did hear about that Looney Tunes movie. I wouldn't mind seeing it.
As discussed in 1998, Tim Richmond will
Gilliland instead of Gilliland.
For his team, Hollywood Motorsports.
No one could pronounce SVG's name. Well, yeah, initially they couldn't, because I remember at one point they were like, and there's Shane Van Gissenbergen in 91. Well, we all knew how to pronounce it after that race. Yeah, Race Jam would have been cool to see. I would have loved to see what that movie would have looked like. Casey Kane, cut audio from Thunder 03. Oh, yeah. I've seen those videos. That's really cool to see the cut audio and stuff like that people were able to dig that out. Oh, hey, Starlight. I'm doing good. Watch the Xfinity race before doing the stream here today. Shane Vavis. When is Wendy's doing the Shane Van Gisberger? When is it happening? We need it.
We'll talk about later. Kenny Irwin Jr. takes over the #1 truck at Bill Davis Racing with new sponsor Lucas Oil.
Yeah, that's cool what you're doing there, Benjamin. I think it's cool when people do that and they can get creative and showcase their love of motorsports through that way.
Bliss moves over to the 98 for Liberty.
Jeff Burton, yeah. It's funny because when I did that World Grand Prix video, that was like just a few months before that all happened. So I'm looking back on that going, well, how ironic is that? Oh, dude, I hope SVG wins on an oval this year. I hope he gets a cup win this year. I'd love to see it. Whataburger does the Shane Van Glizzy. Oh, God. Wendy's having a NASCAR burger would have been so 2000s. Just like the sunrooms they used to have. We need Trackhouse to get a Gillette sponsorship. Return of the Gillette Young Guns.
Looking for his first NASCAR win since his Firecracker 400 upset a full decade ago. He had to fight early with another driver who struggled for wins.
Where do I think he wins? Well, obviously he'll be a threat on the road courses. I don't know. Maybe he wins tomorrow, right? I probably jinxed him saying that. I want to see Shane do well. I'm cheering for him, but
Irvin, Jimmy Johnson, and Jack
you know,
Sprague
we'll see. I don't know what oval he could do it at. Maybe he does like a fuel mileage win or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Johnson and Irvin to second place. He forced Biffle off the track a few times, and they were side by side.
A different font.
To go. But
Are you talking about Robin's truck?
I
I think I used the same number from before.
After finishing second in points with plenty of highlights,
I suppose Denny could drive for Jerry Jones since they both choke. Oh, I want to see him get another Chicago dub. I'm going to try and get out to there this year. I'd like to get up to Chicago. What fast food items could you do? Well, did you see that Chipotle has like the Ryan Blaney bowl? I actually tried it. It's pretty good. Then again, I like Chipotle. SVG winning at the Roval. That'd be cool.
Hornaday led the first half, but Barry Bodine was able to...
It would be cool if guys like Elio and SVG encouraged more international guys to try NASCAR. That'd be cool.
Caused two new names to reach the front off of differing strategy. Jimmy Johnson and...
I thought Shane did great at Bowman Gray. Does it taste like Ryan Blaney? I don't know. What did the bowl have? Let me check. I like the song I used for the Truck Series, by the way. I try to find music that's fitting for the time. So, trying to find more new metal stuff, since you know it's also up my alley. Anyway,
including going 3 wide for the lead on lap 3, with Peterson eventually pulling ahead. Peterson was the dominant truck all day, but had to fend off a late charge from Jimmy Johnson.
Let's see if I can find it here.
Cindy Peterson took advantage of Dodge's step forward to finally earn her first career win, and the second for Dodge in their return to NASCAR. This makes Peterson the 7th woman to win a National Series race.
Let's see.
Then at the next race at Knoxville,
featured. Maybe that helps.
Driver,
yeah, Ryan Blaney's Chicken and Steak Burrito Bowl. It's brown rice, black beans, half chicken, half steak. The tomatillo, red chili salsa, like the red hot sauce. Queso blanco, cheese, and guac. I had it last week after I got back from Daytona. It's pretty good.
With 2-star drivers behind him in Brian Refner and Tim
Manitous, I did see that. The game does look pretty good. That they brought, I think it's awesome they brought back the extreme gear. Well, you know, just do the best you can, Starlight, with finding what kind of background music to use and stuff like that. I try to leave links and list out all the songs that I used in my videos.
Brian Refner gets his first win of the season in thrilling fashion.
Oh, really, Marcus Ambrose? I didn't know that.
Second dirt race of the year at Devil's Bowl.
They probably did, and I just didn't remember.
Jeff Bodine started on the pole, but we had a crazy start where Tim Richmond took it 3 wide to go from 3rd to 1st. Bob Keselowski followed the line and fought Richmond for the lead to take it soon after, looking to win here back-to-back years.
What's this? Spurs coach Greg Popovich is not expected to return this season, and his NBA future is uncertain. Oh, gosh.
The other Bodine, Barry. He would have a shockingly dominant second half to get his
how ironic. Adam Stern posted another thing about Dodge.
2 races later,
people with knowledge of the discussion said Dodge is returning to the Truck Series next year with the full intent to eventually put together a full Cup program. That Cup program could be optional as soon as 2027 or 2028.
But thanks to lap traffic,
there you go.
Able to sneak past Michael Waltrip to take the lead and go on for his first win.
Will Jimmy Johnson be sponsored by Jimmy John's?
At the inaugural race at Chicago Motor Speedway, a caution came out coming back to lap 2 when Jack Sprague got tagged and spun on the front stretch.
Chicago.
Attack from Ken Schrader. Scott Lagasse and Cindy Peterson put on a good show for the fans. They battled side by side a few times until Peterson eventually took the lead. After final pit stops, she had at least a 2-second lead and would go on to win. A great performance by her, and I'm sure her sponsors have to be happy, since Sears is based out of Chicago.
Sears mentioned.
After Jack Sprague took the checkered flag in the 17th race of the season at Charlotte, we had an interesting points battle for the championship. Ron Hornaday held
Yeah, the Truck Series championship battle was pretty fun.
With Tony Roper, Cindy Peterson, and Scott Lagasse all in contention for it.
Will SNL have Bushwhackers? Yeah. Yeah, they will.
Ken Schrader would hold off a charging Kurt Busch to win at Texas. Then Tim Richmond, who has had a rather disappointing season, would dominate.
Yeah, I still can't figure out why Tim Richmond was struggling
Then at Gateway,
there.
Tony
That was
Roper
weird.
and Brian Refner were battling it out, trying to one-up each other for the championship. At the end with 10 laps to go, the defending champ, Brian Refner, makes the pass. He would go on to get his 4th win of the year. After Greg Biffle won the second Phoenix race,
Haas once tested a Lincoln in the
championship
90s.
fight changed,
Really?
as Tony Roper had
Huh.
a commanding lead in the standings. And it would not change, as Barry Bodine would go on to earn his 3rd win of the season. Tony Roper, driving for Jack Roush, would become the NASCAR Craftsman Super Truck Series champion for 1990.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that Tony Roper got a truck title in this timeline. That's pretty awesome.
Points ahead of Brian Refner. He would also
Just kind of a feel-good kind of thing.
7 top 5s and 16 top 10s. And here are the winners and the final standings from this year's Craftsman Super Truck Series. We really saw Dodge Ram Racing break out onto the scene with great performances out of the likes of Cindy Peterson and Bob Keselowski, not to mention Ken Schrader as well. However, one disappointment has got to be Tim Richmond. He had some bad luck this season, but hopefully he can turn things around next year. It's still a relatively new team, so Tim Richmond says...
Yeah, we figure just to make it stand out more, being the Super Truck Series. There was a hauler at Daytona, a merch hauler, that, had merch just solely for the lower series. And there was a Super Truck Series shirt that I was tempted to get.
Driver lineup this year features stars from the Winston Cup, such as Kyle Petty, Shauna Robinson.
Is the Hans device mandatory? I would say in this timeline, NASCAR is very much more on it when it comes to safety. And, they're just, they're more on it in this timeline.
FedEx Kart World Series, and Eddie Cheever and Davey Hamilton from the Indy Racing League. There's also the Australian Touring Cars champion Craig Lowndes, and rounding out the field is the defending ARCA Racing Series champion Frank Kimmel. The schedule for this year does not change from last year, as we do feature the same 4 races in Daytona, Calder Park, Michigan, and Indianapolis. Starting off with the first race at Daytona, Davey Hamilton started on the
good old
pole,
IROC.
and this might have been one of the most competitive IROC Daytona races ever. This race would feature 25 lead changes among 11 drivers across 50 laps. With 6 to go, Patty Moyse took the lead from Ernie Irvan. She held the lead well in the closing laps, trying to fend off Kyle Petty, Shauna Robinson, and Greg Moore. With 3 to go, Greg Moore tried to make a move, but Craig Lowndes beat him to take second.
Oh, speaking of Dale Earnhardt, I will say on lap 3 of the Daytona 500, there were a lot of people in the stands who still held up 3 fingers, so I did it. I looked over and I saw it, so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it too. Held up 3 fingers, and Michael and John also did it too, so that was pretty cool to do that. So I'll remind myself every time I go to the 500 now to do that on lap 3. So I think it's cool we still celebrate Dale even after all these years.
Frank Kimmel, the ARCA champion, would go on
Frank.
to win at Daytona.
Yeah, I was sitting there like, wow, Frank Kimmel, how about that? ARCA developing some tough drivers at this timeline, let me tell you.
Steele was dominant all race long.
Yeah, I would say at this point, yeah, the Hans device has already been mandatory, so that drivers are protected.
Ernie Irvan tried to slow down,
Boink.
but runs into the back of Petty, taking them both out of the race. Frank Kimmel was able to run down Lowndes for second in the closing laps, while Tim Steele,
Tim is him.
Busch Series champion, went on to win. At Michigan, Patty Moyse scored a pole, but she
Excuse me.
didn't have the results she was looking
I see,
for.
Benjamin. I
All
see.
but 4 drivers led during the race, and it was back and forth. But Team
Yeah,
NASCAR
and
would finally
it's hard to
get
say.
the
Like,
race
the car of
race
tomorrow
as Rusty
was
Wallace
built
won
to
the
protect
race
drivers,
title
and I'm glad it
in
was.
second, and Shauna
Sure,
Robinson in
it
third.
didn't look great,
6
but
championships
I want
combined
drivers to be safe at the
in
end of the
that
day.
top three.
So,
Tim Steele was
hey, I'm
fourth,
nostalgic for
and
the Gen
Frank
4,
Kimmel
sure.
was ninth.
But,
I say that because
you know, and
he
I'm
knows
sure maybe
how to
NASCAR
get
took a
his
look
stuff
and said,
going
I think we've
into
done
the
all we
lead.
could with this
Frank
car.
Kimmel leads
Let's
by
see what
just
we can
2
do
points
with
over
this
Tim
car.
Steele. Ernie Irvan started on the pole, and Steele and Kimmel
Oh, wow.
qualified in the back. Not the ideal start for 2 of our title contenders. Rusty took the lead from Irvin on lap 8. He led until the final round of stops as Adrian
His cousin won the
Hernandez
championship.
led the
Oh,
race
that's cool.
and had a shot to lock up the title.
Yeah, I remember the COT, and I liked it too, you know. Especially the 2011-2012 COT.
He would fall
Yeah.
to third. That pass right there is most likely what cost him the IROC title. Tim Steele was 5th and could not catch the main leaders, and Frank Kimmel was not a factor in this race. And with that, for the 3rd time in 4 years, Rusty Wallace is crowned the
Yeah, the Penske drivers have absolutely owned IROC the last few years.
And what an interesting
Remember when Derek
season
Cope
it's
wrecked on
been.
lap 3 of the
The
2021
other guys
Daytona
looking
500?
strong against some of the world's best.
Yeah, I'm convinced Dale Earnhardt was messing with him. I'm convinced Dale decided to mess with him.
Now we take a look at the 1999 NASCAR Busch Series.
He was like, hey, Derek, remember this?
The opportunity of a lifetime for 3-time ARCA
Yeah, the
champion
problem with the
Tim
COT was the
Steele
wing.
took home the
It was a lot
championship
better when they
for the
took it off, just because cars were taking off like airplanes, like you said. And I was like, whoa, that shouldn't be happening. So, but you know, trial and error, you know, you figure out what works, what doesn't.
Taking a look at the schedule, not many changes were made either. The NASCAR Busch Series is once again stacked this season, though some of last year's big names have made the move up to the Winston Cup. Those are the champion, Tim Steele, the winningest driver in Jerry Nadeau, and also the 1997 champion.
I saw
John
Jerry
Wilson.
Nadeau in the ARCA
That
garage.
said, there are plenty to break out and take
I
the
remember he was helping out somebody, but yeah, I was like, oh man, that's Jerry Nadeau.
Jr., Matt Kenseth, and Paige Jones.
Newman's basically doing what he was doing in real life.
Looking to make their names. Kerry Earnhardt, after winning the Super Sportsman title last season, makes the jump up to the Busch Series. That said, DEI sticks with the 3-team program they have for now, leading to Dale's...
Yeah, we tossed around different ideas with Kerry and Steve. It's tough because, you know, you don't want DEI to suddenly grow too fast and it ends badly for them, right? So we just had to be realistic with how we approach things.
Stable is Steve Park, who will run the full Busch season in the number 43 for Curb Akajanian. After a disappointing season last year, he won't be...
You know what, Starlight?
Though Dale put in a good word for him to make his
I agree.
move up the ladder. Kelly Williams and her sponsor, Home Depot,
in a sense that
into the number 30
I feel like a lot of people, not just fans, but there are some people in the industry that are kind of stuck in the past, you know, and hey, it's good to celebrate the history of the sport. It's good to celebrate all the great things that have happened, but, you know, we also, there's a way to mix in tradition and innovation and continuing to move forward and think forward as a sport and not just sit there and go, oh, well, the sport hasn't been good since 1995. It's just not a good mentality to have. So I definitely see where you're coming from there.
Johnny Benson does return to the number 9 for Jack Roush.
I think, well, the reason why people have so many different paint schemes now is just the economy. The economics in the world have changed so much where it's just harder to have like a full season sponsorship kind of way.
Perhaps the biggest story of them all. A driver moving near immediately.
I'm here for real now. I have a life. Scary, I know.
18-year-old
Yeah,
Adam
I do too.
Petty joining his father at Sabco Racing. In addition to his truck starts at
As Roderick Strong would say,
Double Run
Adam!
in the number 4
Adam!
sponsor Yahoo.com.
Yahoo!
Sabatos was reportedly a bit concerned about bringing him into the series right away, but saw potential in him following his incredible bout with Winston Cup stars in the Texas World Truck Race last season. It may take Adam a few years to develop.
If we let F1 fans think of the sport, they'd return to the 60s.
He could be NASCAR's
Yeah, I mean,
Sabco star. Another big
it's
move
like,
comes from
say what you
speed.
want about the
Kenny
COT
Brack,
and the Gen 6,
after
but
showing flashes of brilliance in
you know, you
stunt
got to
cars,
innovate, and
ever
also
since
they
making the
protected
switch,
drivers' lives.
he
So
finally gets a bigger
I want
opportunity,
drivers to be
and
safe.
Hendrick Motorsports
That's my
picks
big
him
thing.
up for the Busch Series
I don't.
campaign.
I couldn't
He
begin to
was in
imagine
51
if
with
you know
MasterCard
I was
returning
born
as a
10
sponsor.
years earlier,
As for
having to
notable
experience
part-time,
seeing the
Spears
deaths of
Motorsports makes a
Rodney
return to the
Orr, Neil
series,
Bonnet,
entering
and
a car for the truck driver, Jimmy
Adam
Johnson.
Petty and Teddy
From
Irwin
West
and
Coast
Tony
races
Roper, Dale
in the number
Earnhardt. That would have been
76.
rough.
A new team in
Um,
Emerald Performance Group will field the number
talking about Jerry
91
Nader. Oh, gotcha.
Andy
Okay.
Skinner, the son of Mike Skinner,
But,
as well as Dirt
yeah.
Ace Scott Bloomquist.
I don't know. I grew up in a pretty cool time though, in the 2000s, very end of the 90s into the 2000s.
Fielding the number
I don't remember much
16
about the
for
90s,
Jeff
but
Burton
I more so remember
and
the
stock
2000s.
GT champion Bill Lester. Joe Nemechek will return to running some Busch Series races.
Front
Dr.
row
Pepper
Joe.
sponsoring him at his own team. His super sportsman driver Stanton Barrett will make a few starts at the end of the season in this car as well. Sapco's number 45 team will be piloted by 5 drivers in a rotation: Patty Moyes, Shauna Robinson, Jerry Nadeau, Ron Fellows, and John Andretti. And lastly, DEI's number 19 will be part-time again, with Kelly Earnhardt and Robbie Gordon sharing that ride. Joe
All
Nemechek
right.
and Kenny Brack
Busch.
led the field for the green flag to kick off the 1999 NASCAR Busch Series season. Here is the first lap.
Oh, I mean, yeah, when I sat there closer to turn 4 at the 500, I remember before the race just sitting there thinking about, like, what was it like sitting here back in '01, seeing that all go down? Because at first, you don't know what's going on. It's just another wreck, and you think, like, oh, Dale wrecked, but hey, Mikey won, you know, and the only thing you really noticed was Ken Schrader checking up on his friend, you know, just saying, like, telling the safety crew, like, hey, get over here, you know. You didn't know how bad it was, so I couldn't begin to imagine what that was like that day.
Side by side, two drivers looking for a lot of improvement this season, as Nemechek has the advantage on that inside line as they head into turns 3 and 4.
Let's see. That 19, I think I found on Big Evil Racing. They have a folder. They have a section of, like, numbers that were fictional, but they have, like, certain team fonts. Like, that's where I found the GHGR 17 and stuff like that. Excuse me.
Like a typical Daytona race, the lead changed a lot, and many had a shot at the win. With 9 laps to go, the caution came out for debris. The race then restarted with
Busch is
4
now
laps remaining, with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Xfinity. For now,
front.
we'll see what it's going to be next
That
year.
lead wouldn't last long, as Bobby Labonte would quickly take the lead in search of a much-needed win. The field began to spread out quickly as some of the leaders
Bobby?
did not have enough fuel to make it to the end. Then Kelly Earnhardt took the lead, but then it was Mike Wallace. Then on the final lap, it came down to Mike Wallace and Kelly Earnhardt. Watch as Kelly Earnhardt would make the pass on Mike Wallace, coming back to the start and finish line, and the 1997 Daytona 500 champion would pick up the
Hey,
win.
Floyd fan, how you doing?
What an amazing finish, and what a
Time
big
flew as
win
fast as
for
Xfinity
Kelly
Mobile, that's for
Earnhardt.
sure. Yeah, it's kind of funny during the driver interviews of the Xfinity race, how much they'll talk about, like, you know, oh, we were as fast as Xfinity Mobile, or something like that.
But he held him off.
Return of Nationwide or Busch. Well, it could be somebody else. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Kroger steps in, you know, or something like that. Or maybe we could get, like, the NASCAR Mellow Yellow Series or something like that.
In quite an unreal run. Kenseth's car did not have a great second half, and instead the leading battle would be between Paige Jones, Kenny Brack.
Paige Jones is
Dale
becoming that original
Jr.
Jones boy in this timeline.
Brack pulled ahead with Jr.
I will
right
say,
on his bumper
I'm really
on
glad
the
that
sides, but Jr. made a
I'm really
great
glad that
mistake
Kenny Brack did
getting
really
too
well
long,
in '99.
caught by the lappers, allowing the 51 to pull away. Brack was looking
Kenny.
for a change of pace in his NASCAR experiment, and it was going to pay off as Kenny Brack gets his first NASCAR Busch Series win and first non-exhibition win in stock car racing. Definitely.
I'm gonna go to Kroger and spend my winnings on groceries now.
At Las Vegas,
Or say,
battle was
like,
between Jeff Gordon,
we were
Jones,
fast, like,
Tommy
shopping at
Kendall,
Kroger or
and
something like that.
Clifford Allison.
I don't know.
Kendall took advantage of the lap cars on a restart to make the 2
Yeah, Tommy Kendall did pretty well, too.
And because of that, Tommy Kendall gets his second career Busch Series win and his first non-IROC win on an oval. Back-to-back wins of road course backgrounds. Also of note, Jimmy Johnson made his Busch Series debut with Speed Sports, and he would finish it with a top 10 finish. We had another marquee win in the next race, as at Atlanta, some strategy would change late in the race. However, as during pit stops, we had a big wreck where Bill Lester, who was making his Busch
maybe
debut,
another insurance company. It's
Sean
possible.
Robinson coming off pit road and set off a chain reaction.
Are you in good hands?
Backstretch that collected the pole sitter Blaze Alexander and Clifford Allison, including Lester rolling at the bottom of the banking. This set up a few new faces at the front, 2 females, rookie Kelly Williams and bushwhacker Tammy Jo Kirk. Williams pulled away and dominated the last third of the race to get her
Liberty Bibberty
win. Despite the late start to her rise, she proves why she's one of the sport's hottest prospects, male or female. Just a few races later at Bristol,
when you guys are playing the Busch Series. Yeah, the weird thing is, for the GNS 98, it's the Winston Cup 98 mod, but it's GNS physics. For some reason, there wasn't a 1999 car set, and we weren't going to just switch to another mod already, so yeah, so we just kind of had to work with what we got.
It looked like Kenny Brack was going to come in with another great short track car to pass, but Adam threw a block until he spun the lap car of Jeff Fuller to cause a
He
yellow
said, "Move,
that
get out of the way."
Then, on a restart with 25 to go, Adam got the perfect jump to get below the lap cars and build a gap between he and Kenny Brack. We had one last restart after a spin from Kelly Williams, and it came with 6 to go. All Petty needed to do was race clean and let the lap cars do their job. And he did. It was not
Adam Petty, man. I'm excited to see what he can do in 2000.
For the third time already this season, and it was our biggest in years. Adam Petty takes the win in the Sapco 40 car. Nazareth Speedway is a track with a lot of open-wheel history, so it would seem fitting for a driver who came from an open-wheel background to get their...
Yeah, I haven't thought that much ahead with like what the 2003 mod would be.
As he continues to showcase his experience in what has been a breakout year for him.
Thunder 98 was awesome.
The 11th race of the season at Charlotte was a very competitive race. The story of the race was Paige Jones versus DEI.
Yeah. And we were just like, okay, well, Adam Petty's really good, apparently. So, he's going to be fun to watch in 2000.
Ran them in the middle stage of the race. Kelly Earnhardt got ahead during final pit stops. Paige Jones ran her down with 10 to go, and thanks to lap traffic, Jr. joined the party and pulled ahead of both with 2 to go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets his first win of the year after a disappointing start, but Paige Jones beat Kelly Earnhardt at the line to break up the Earnhardt 1-2. After 11 races, Kenny Brack led the point standings. Race 15 at the Daytona Road Course featured a fun race, as on pole
NASCAR's Loop Series, oh god.
Williams, who has barely any experience on road courses. Williams was able to take the lead on lap 2 and led a great chunk of the race, though Gordon stayed with her. On the final set of pit stops with 5 to go, Gordon barely got ahead on pit road, leading to them being bumped.
Yeah, how about Kelly Williams pretty much outrunning a Cup Series driver like
Williams
that?
Got low enough to force Gordon up, and she would take the lead in turn 1. Gordon kept staying on her bumper, but he could not make a move in the chicane. He had a run coming to the checkers, but it wasn't enough to go side by side and contend for the win. Kelly Williams gets her second career win.
The fact that Kelly Williams is good on road courses scares me. She didn't have any experience yet. Yeah, exactly. Like, she could be scaringly good.
Kelly Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr. battled it out in the closing laps, with Kelly Earnhardt getting the win. This makes it the first brother-sister 1-2 finish in NASCAR. Tony Stewart had the best car at IRP, the very track where he got his first stock car win 2 years ago.
Hey, Tony.
He lost the lead at one point to Johnny Benson, but in the final run...
Also, if you notice there on the back of the number 9 Best Buy car, I don't know if you noticed what was on the bumper. I think somebody brought it up before, but I left that as an Easter egg. But the whole Y2K scare that went on, Best Buy actually put stickers on their devices that said, remember to turn off before midnight on 12/31/99. So, I kind of just did that as a fun Easter egg. Because I was like, I want to do an Easter egg, see if anybody sees it. You know, just have a little fun, because I like doing goofy stuff like that.
Thanks to this, and cleared them with 4 to go, completely avoiding them. Tony Stewart gets his third win.
Yeah, I mean, that was an actual scare.
And his second,
an actual worry, I should say.
Home market at IRP.
Hey,
Not
Tony.
only that, but he takes the points lead with it too. A few races later, Paige Jones maintained his lead in the later stages of the race.
We do a little trolling. That's right. We do a little trolling. We like to have fun around here.
Miracle after a bad start. Despite Jones's lead being built up,
Kendrick said, "Turn this TV off, but you should turn this PC off."
into the high line by Stewart and
because it's not like us. Sorry.
Petty to near instantly come back and take them side by side to the white flag, where Adam barely cleared in turn 2 on the bottom to pull off one of the most clutch passes ever, and Adam Petty gets his second career win by sweeping the Bristol races. Adam Petty is quickly looking like the real deal.
Adam Petty.
After a yellow and additional pit stop at Darlington, where
that was
Tommy
cool.
Kendall leapfrogged the
That was just
leaders
cool to
off
see
the
Adam do that
shortstop,
well.
he would go on to lead the way until another caution for Adam Petty ended the race under yellow, handing Kendall his second win off strategy. Except he didn't.
Psych!
To the checkers, he ran out of fuel along with some lappers, handing over the win to Dale Earnhardt Jr. Absolute heartbreak for Tommy Kendall. We skip a few races now to Riverside as Kenny Braxton.
Yeah, I think it was like a concept or a show car at one point.
And on a road course. But got blasted outside on the start by Kevin Harvick. Harvick shot
Happy
out
Harvick.
to an early lead and would battle Jeff Gordon and Kenny Brack.
That was so out of nowhere for Harvick to just dominate Riverside, but I guess you could say that car has a lot of riz, like he said at Daytona. Because Harvick, I think he's picked up the language too much from his kids. His car wasn't Fugazi. Help me.
In the closing laps at Texas World, we had a fun 3-car battle between Joe Nemechek, Kenny Brack, and Paige Jones.
Can I just say for the record that Texas World provides some cinematic racing? My night is ruined. Sorry.
His advantage to get a bushwhacking win for his own team. Perhaps something much needed for him. While Tony Stewart went on to a dominating win at Gateway, helping his championship efforts.
Yeah, I remember Sam Hornish was almost going to drive a DEI at one point. Yeah.
Motorsports, as he had a great outing, starting 14th and finishing 12th. After this race, Tony Stewart held a 118-point lead over Paige Jones. The season finale at Atlanta featured an early battle for the lead between David Bonnet, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jerry Nadeau that went on huge swaths of the race.
Yeah, Jet cooked with that Yahoo car.
During pit stops, one that took out
Boink.
Nadeau himself, caused Tony Stewart, Kelly Williams, and Kenny Brack all to get up front behind.
Since brain rot was mentioned. Yeah. I think the Fox booth's been contaminated with brain rot.
As the one and only leader to not pit under the final yellow.
Kenny Bratt. Oh, no. Oh, no. Kenny Bratt Summer.
For the final 30-lap run, It was absolutely incredible for the super sportsman driver likely to move up next
Yeah,
year.
this was wild.
Until
Like,
the clock
Stanton Barrett was trying all he could, but you could tell he was running out of gas.
in the final turn of the season, under caution, Barrett runs out of fuel, and Kelly Williams, who had been held off by him,
God,
finally gets by to take her 4th win of the year in an absolutely insane
what have I done?
fashion. Barrett had enough to finish 4th, and it was a statement race for him despite the heartbreak. In a season full
Kelly
of crazy
Edgehart.
marquee
Oh
moments,
no!
we just had
How
to
long
get
until
with
Kevin
the
Harvick says
score.
skibbity toilet?
With
Oh
that
God!
said, the champion was
I'm
the
scared he's gonna
as
say
soon
skibbity or
as the
something like
green
that.
flag was taken.
I'm gonna be like,
Ladies and
Kevin!
gentlemen, your NASCAR Busch Series
If you make me do a Kenny
1999
Brad summer car, I quit.
Tony
No.
Stewart, driving for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. In what has been a very competitive season, Stewart would earn 6 wins, 17 top 5s, 26 top 10s, and an average finish
Tony.
of 7.44. And I would say that this driver is ready to move up to the Winston Cup in 2000. As we look at the winners and final standings from this year's Busch Series, we had some...
Yeah, Clint Boyer, yeah, I saw that.
Stars like Adam Petty, Kenny Brack, and Tommy Kendall. Now the question is, what's next in store for all these potential future stars? Especially one in Adam Petty, getting 2 wins at just 18 years old.
Talking about Greg Biffle, he's in trucks.
And now it is time
All right,
to cover the
it's Cup time.
1999 season for the NASCAR.
Yeah, DEI's doing pretty well for
Series,
themselves.
Where we come off a historical 50th season that would crown the first ever female Cup Series champion.
NASCAR on CNN? That sounds cursed.
Robinson, as well as her Sabco teammates, are looking to dominate the Winston Cup in hopes one of them can bring home another title to a team that has become an elite powerhouse throughout the 90s. Now
Who wins the 2025 Daytona 500 for Team Sabco?
Schedule for the 1999 Cup season, that being Homestead Miami, who has hosted the Busch Series the last few years. They will replace one of Richmond's dates on the schedule and will serve as the second to last race of the season. As for this year's All-Star race, it heads out west to be held on a road course for just the second time. Riverside will host an all-star clash in SoCal with a Hollywood flair that NASCAR looks to carry into the new millennium. Moving on to silly season, many of the biggest stories stemmed out.
Have you ever thought of not having Dodge in the sport at all?
I
mean, you know, just staying realistic and stuff like that. You know,
the answer, as expected,
just, you know, whatever makes the most sense. And since Dodge expressed interest in real life, it just made the most sense to do that.
Exxon restructures their sponsorship following the Exxon-Mobil merger. That being said, he wasn't the only change at Hendrick Motorsports. Joe Nemechek had been underperforming in the number 5, and Rick wanted a change, though he didn't want to leave Joe out to dry either. Despite his brother joining, Joe Nemechek makes a ride swap with Hendrick's help. Nemechek heads to SS Motorsports to take over the 85 with new sponsor Dr. Pepper, with Hendrick providing support for both the 85 and the Nemco Busch team. This means that Davey Allison, who had a winless but solid rebound in 1998, will take over the number 5. Allison is hoping for some kind of breakthrough in 1999 to finally return to victory lane. The next notable changes were made over at Roush Racing. Former champion Darrell Waltrip departs from the team, and he is replaced by the defending Busch Series champion Tim Steele. Steele will be one of the 4 big contenders for Rookie of the Year in the number 6 Valvoline Ford. Darrell Waltrip goes to drive most of the season for Haas Carter Motorsports in the number 23 Ford, replacing Ward Burton and bringing in a sponsorship deal with Tide.
Why did Tim Steele go to Roush and not a second JFM or Budmore car?
Also run 4 races for Bill Davis Racing, where he'll be also serving as a
the reason behind that was because I think Jack Roush just was looking for a younger driver
For the
Darrell
races,
Waltrip was pretty much at the tail end of his career, and they were just able to get a hold of Tim Steele.
Speaking of Paige Jones, he also makes some Winston Cup starts in the 99 later in the season, with Circuit City and Sega coming on as sponsors. Going back to the rookies,
shout out to Rose Gem on those Paige Jones schemes.
Bobby Hamilton in the Petty 43.
Tim Steele's the GOAT. Tim is him. That's right. Tim is him.
Prices will also get a bigger technical alliance with Sapco Racing. Jeremy Mayfield rounds out our rookie class as he takes over Kel Yarbrough's 98 team. American Equipment Racing buys into the team, and Caterpillar will continue to sponsor Mayfield in the new number 98 Cup car. As for other news, Bobby Hamilton moves over to the new Tyler Jet Motorsports after the team bought out Team Tabasco. AT&T comes over to sponsor the number 10. Todd Bodine moves to Joe
AT&T
in the number 06. This car is the 06 instead of the 60, since Washington Irving Motorsports occupies that number. That team will run again part-time in Cup, with Jeff Bodine and Willie T. Ribbs sharing the car. Ward Burton moves to Midwest Transit Racing in the number 50. Robert Presley now pilots the number 58 Hollywood Video Ford for SB3 Motorsports.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head how DW did in 99.
Will have a part-time number 46
hold on.
To make some Cup starts, as well.
Go back and look
as
at
Bragg.
standings.
DMAC will sponsor Richmond, while MasterCard will sponsor Bragg. DEI will continue to run the number 8 part-time, with Tony Stewart and Dalen Hart Jr. sharing the car. Penske Racing brings in the new number 12.
Yeah, DW actually was probably one of the worst of the full-time drivers, actually. Didn't even record a top 10.
Alonso Jr. at the Daytona 500 as a one-off. Though this won't be the only time you see Unser in the series this season. Next is Yannick Dalmas, soon-to-be 4-time Le Mans winner, who you may remember from the 1996 International All-Star Open. He will attempt 2 road courses in the summer. Lastly, in this car is Matt Kenseth. Kenseth will make a handful of starts and looks like he's being prepared to go full-time in the Winston Cup for 2000. In the second half of the season, Eel River Racing will make their debut as a part-time team. Al Unser Jr. will run some races.
I was just talking about how Darrell Waltrip did in 1999 SNL.
They get sponsorship from Universal Studios. LJ Racing brings on Quaker State with a rotation of drivers. Most notably, the car
Matt Kenseth drove an AT&T car a couple of times in 2001, I think. It was like very early 2000s.
Larry Hendrick Motorsports,
pretty sure of it.
Jimmy Spencer and Greg Sachs splitting the ride. Ricky Johnson
who gets 24? Well, just have to wait and see.
Road courses for Dunleavy Racing. And lastly, Ron Fellows will drive a one-off in a Fort Sapco car at Watkins Glen.
DW was not good. Yeah. And again, it was just because, he hit a decline. He was at the end of his career.
Included Ernie Irvin winning the shootout, and for the 41st running of the Daytona 500, the front row consisted of 2 former winners. Bubba Nissen on the pole, and Shauna Robinson next to him. And while Sterling Marlin would win the first dual race, Robinson stayed competitive and would win the second dual race, despite being locked into the front row. Bubba Nissen and Shauna Robinson would lead the field to start the 41st running of the Daytona 500. Here are the opening 2 laps.
I know DW had a couple good runs when he subbed in for Park. I've seen that meme go around of when he qualified like top 5 at the Brickyard 400 in 99 2000, and the Unk still got it or whatever that was. I haven't really considered it for Bubba Nissen. It's just one of those things where it's time will tell.
Down the backstretch for the first time this afternoon, Nissen and Robinson still side by side as 42 cars start to roar around this 2.5-mile circuit.
This was definitely an interesting Daytona 500 for sure.
Who is going to lead lap 1 as they come off turn 4?
Richard Petty's 1997 win said Unk still got it.
And he's going to get the
Yep,
first
pretty
set
much.
of 5 bonus points to kick off the 1999 season.
I'm sure in 2025 there's memes of that.
Still on the outside as they're 2x2x2 going into turn 1. This year's Daytona 500 had been a long green flag race, and at one point the race had a pack of
Yeah, pretty much what Jet said. It was just hard to say what kind of precedent there would have been.
Was Norm Benning, driving for a small team called Tricks Racing.
Storm and Norm
managed to stay in contention for most of the race and even led for a brief moment. While Norm Benning would wind up 21st, this would lead to him making more starts as he ran full-time in ARCA. In the closing laps, the field began to split up thanks to late pit stops around 10 laps to go. It became a...
Yeah, that's interesting. Rusty hasn't won a 500 yet. I still feel like he will at some point, but we'll see.
And with that, it was Chad Little of Mark Rypian Motorsports, the 1996 Busch Series champion, looking for his first Cup win in the biggest race of them all. And Kelly Earnhardt, the 1997 Daytona 500 champion, looking for a turnaround season. Here are the final 3 laps. 3 laps to go here in the Daytona 500, and we have an interesting finish on our hands. Plenty of leaders have had to pit late in the going. Chad Little and Kelly Earnhardt are trying to stretch it out. They're going to try and get to the finish, and perhaps either Chad Little could win his first career Winston Cup race, or Kelly Earnhardt could potentially get her
my favorite NASCAR season
win in 3 years and add on to her father's.
That's a tough one. There's a few I could probably name. One that sticks out is probably 2011.
It is still Chad Little.
Since I became a NASCAR fan and all that, probably.
And of course, everything could change if these two cannot make it. Earnhardt is there.
Yeah.
She has to go.
Yeah, the 97 is still basically Mark Rypian.
Can she find the right move? Can she get a push to get to the 97? On board with the 14. Little is right there. She's trying to get past the 33 of Jeff Burton. Ahead is the 94 Casey Elliott. But that 97 is the most important car, and she's going to get held up by Bubba Nissen. Nissen just got back.
It's hard to say what would have happened, but if it weren't for Nissen, I do think Earnhardt could have had a shot. Happy birthday, Trevor Bain, 20 years old.
Chad Little needs something big for him and Mark Rypian, the 2 Spokane natives. This could be the moment that changes Little's life forever. 2 turns away from history for Chad Little. And into turns 3 and 4, they're going to remember this one for many years to come. To the checkered flag, Spokane, Washington's Chad Little is going to win the Daytona 500 for 1999.
You just lost to Chad Little.
You know what they say about the Daytona 500?
And honestly, though, this probably changed everything for Little and that team, because they were not doing, like I just said there, they didn't have much luck, so that changed a lot for them.
Little said afterwards, quote, "We felt like this year was a make-or-break season for all of us. And the fact that we came to Daytona and won is just amazing. I'm so proud of the whole effort this team has, all the way back from
Prosper,
the Busch
Texas
title in '96 to now. I'm just so thankful. What a special moment."
I can't send her a message. I have to wait for you to accept the invite.
Both
Oh.
Spokane, Washington.
Thought I did. Let me see.
We head to the fourth race of the season at Atlanta, where Jeff Gordon started on the pole, but he had a battle with all three Sapco drivers early on. However, about 20 laps in, Shauna Robinson was leading, but blew a motor from the lead, ending her day early.
Pain.
Kyle Petty would take the lead after, but what a massive heartbreak for Robinson, who, when she was last here, she was celebrating as a Winston Cup champion. Ricky Rudd also had a fast car, but in the end, it was the battle of the beer cars, Rusty Wallace and Jeff Green. Green was there in the end, but it was Rusty Wallace starting his quest for a fifth championship, picking up the win. Moroso and Rusty Wallace started on the front row at Louisiana, and Rusty looked strong early. Rob Moroso would spin from second during a round of pit stops, causing a small pileup off turn 2. Later on, Shepard had a spin where Moy slammed into him, DNFing both drivers. It was Jeff Gordon versus Kyle Petty versus Alan Kowicki. After the final restart, Gordon was able to space himself between him and Petty. And after a winless 1998, despite the All-Star win, Jeff Gordon wins at Louisiana. Despite Dale Earnhardt being on the pole at Dover, Shauna Robinson broke out to an early, dominating lead in the first half. The first caution came out.
Yeah, Alpha Sierra, I'm trying to find where you messaged, but for some reason I can't find it on here. I don't remember what your Instagram profile was. I apologize. I'm trying to work on that.
But thanks to a late caution during green flag pit stops, a wreck that involved Jeff Burton getting turned by Kelly Earnhardt, in which he'd get hit by Eddie Bierschwell and Kyle Petty. Petty would keep going, and oddly enough,
someone investigating this and blocking it for a Pontiac teammate. 100-point penalty.
Drivers, where Kowicki tried to maneuver his way through the lap traffic, but he would eventually get passed by Ernie Irvan in the closing laps.
He also Spokane, Washington, the hometown of Chad Little, population 229,000.
Then at Sears Point, Rob Moroso led the most.
Prosper, Texas, which has a population of 30,000.
And kept it by short pitting.
Okay.
Ernie Irvan would go back-to-back, picking up a win in wine country. After 10 races, Kyle Petty holds a 28-point lead over Ernie Irvan. The stars of the Winston Cup stayed out west as the All-Star race took place at Riverside. NASCAR hosting the race in Riverside was intentional, not just amidst its own upgrades, but also to provide a major update on an exciting development for the sport's presence in the region. Let's move back to July 1998 to a big announcement that was made a bit earlier chronologically. With Riverside alive and well, and with it being just down the road from Fontana, California Speedway never came to be. However, there was interest for an oval track in Southern California. With that, NASCAR, SMI, and other parties looked into other opportunities near Los Angeles or San Diego. Speedway Motorsports got the deal and are set to do something unique. They announced a joint venture between Bruton Smith's company and
more West Coast racing,
family, who own the NFL's San Diego Chargers. Introducing SoCal Speedrome.
Yeah, that's something I'm really looking forward to showing off in 2000.
With high banking,
and I will say that the track's coming along pretty well, and I think you're going to like what you see.
Generation of oval circuits with state-of-the-art facilities, and being a full racing complex, including a Motegi-style in-and-out road course. East of the track, the complex will also be building a new home for the Chargers, keeping them in San Diego without worry. I'd like to take a moment to give a huge thanks to Rose Jam for laying out this track, and to Jets Racing Designs for creating the brand. Rose Jam also created the Louisiana and New Talladega tracks.
Yeah, plate racing and NR is
still in development, and
weird.
We'll see what the final product will look like when we get to 2000. As of right now, we're only creating the oval for NR 2003, but may look into the road course as well in the future. Bruton Smith said during the announcement, quote, "It's important for our entire industry to reach new places. San Diego is a great city, and we're looking to attract new fans from the entire Southwest, race fans or otherwise, to this new venue. I've already made clear in the past few years that we can create brand new experiences in a sport full of tradition. I'm confident that this track will bring in a new generation of racing facilities and bring with it more collaboration with other sports." We start off with the Open as John
Got more West Coast racing in our future. SoCal's just about done, in all honesty. Track looks great. I really like how it's all coming out.
John Nemechek wins the Open in what was a dominating performance. Moving on to the All-Star itself, Sterling
Who's on the cover of NR 2003? Well, we'll find out when we get to that point.
Marlin took off immediately, but Gordon would stay with him. After the first stage caution, there was a stack-up, handing damage to Robinson, Waltrip, Dale Sr., and a couple others.
NR 2003
Jeff
moment.
Gordon was always there, but after the final restart, Rusty Wallace would get around Jeff Gordon for second. After that, it was a Penske 1-2 finish in SoCal as Sterling Marlin dominated and would win the 1999 All-Star race. This year's Coke 600 had a wild story right off the bat. Kelly Earnhardt scored the pole as she looks to finally get another win, while starting second was Matt Kenseth, making just his second Winston Cup start. Neither would be our early leader, though, as Rob Moroso shot from third to take the lead at the start of the race. He would end up dominating about 2/3 of the race. But then,
Moroso said,
somehow,
"Step aside."
For the second time this season, we had a mechanical issue from the lead.
Poor Rob.
Rob Moroso blew his clutch and went from leading to out of the race in an instant. Behind him was Shauna Robinson, who would take the lead and fight off Dale Earnhardt late in the race to earn the first win of her title defense.
Yeah, I like that Memorial Day sale car that Jet made.
Her resume. This also comes after Robinson blew her motor from the lead.
Yeah, I miss Rick Allen, but he's the PA guy for like pre-race driver introductions and stuff like that. I actually heard him do it at Daytona. I was like, "Yeah, that's Rick Allen."
Exchanging the lead early. We had more competition late in the race, and
Excuse
Patty
me.
Moyes, Kyle Petty, and Ernie Irvan all took turns.
Mr. Motor Failure.
Moyes and Petty used total team control.
Rob Moroso subplot.
He had a mad dash at the finish thanks to fuel mileage.
Rob Moroso. That could be his car's name.
Could make it without stopping. Even after having to pit to splash and go, Patty Moyes held on to get her second win of the season and does so at the very track where 10 years ago this August she earned her first win and changed the course of racing history. The very next race.
Yeah, how fitting was that for Patty to win in Michigan 10 years after she made history? We're kind of like the big changing moment in our timeline really happened. That was pretty cool.
Into Alan Kowicki as the two wrecked in turn one. The good news for them, they would keep going. Jeff Green had the lead, but then green flag pit stops took place around 10 laps to go. Shauna Robinson pit a couple laps before Green, and she would chase down to take the lead with 7 to go. But then with 5 to go, Robinson was getting held up by a damaged Ward Burton car. Then with 4 to go, she got held up again by Darrell Waltrip, and this would lead to Jeff Green taking the lead back, and despite Robinson and Moroso chasing him back down, Jeff Green would get his first win of the season at Pocono. Then 2 races later at the Daytona Road Course,
The only thing that fails more than his motor is his pit crew. Yeah.
started on the pole and led early.
Never forget the 1996 championship race.
Rusty Wallace led most of the race as he looked for back-to-back wins.
Yeah, Alpha Sierra. Ferris designed a whole complete rating system for how we rate the cars.
Irvin was able to leapfrog again during final pit stops, and the two had a thrilling fight, including being.
Yeah, I'd say that 92 X probably one of the worst.
In the final
Excuse me.
Before Irvin finally pulled ahead a bit on the final lap to get the win. Irvin is 3 for 3 on road courses, and AK Racing continues
Swerve
their
and Irvin.
dominance on them. The sixth running of the Brickyard 400 looked to continue the trend of big stories in Victory Lane, and it briefly looked like we could have the biggest yet, because in his debut, Paige Jones in the second built-in car started third and charged to second. He ultimately fell back, though, as last year's winner Jeff Green defended from the pole. Jeff Green wouldn't have the long-run pace, though, as the battle instead would be between Sterling Marlin and Patty Moyes. Marlin led for most of the race, and Patty kept getting to his bumper, but would fall back on pit road. Then, during the final cycle,
if you could add an OEM of your choice, what would it be for SNL?
And ran down his teammate, but couldn't make a move. Sterling Marlin gets,
I don't know,
surprisingly, his first win of the year.
That's a good question.
Brickyard 400.
Maybe out of bias, maybe Mazda, because I drive a Mazda and I really like enjoying driving them. Waiting for Shauna to go into the I still like that reference I made. Penske owns the place. Oh, I don't want Shauna to go into the catch fence? No. that would be awful. Bonk.
For Kyle Petty getting spun off pit road but not hitting anyone. This catapulted Davey Allison to second behind Green, and the two of them would stay near the front all day. Over time, the Sapco cars came to life and even ran 1-2-3 at one point, with Moyes taking the lead and regaining it from Green after final pit stop.
I guess whatever would make sense for the time.
In a thrilling final run to the checkers, we had a
Lamborghini. Oh God!
Green leading, followed by
the money they had, they dominate NASCAR. Maybe that could be a Racing Infinity idea. I'm kidding.
And Green exchanged second place a lot, but both had a run on Patty Moyes on the final lap, nearly going 3 wide for the win in turn 3. But Moyes just knows how to get around here and held off both of them outside, and Patty Moyes sweeps Michigan, earning her second win of the row, 4th on the year, and perhaps most special, winning again at Michigan the same week as the 10-year anniversary of her historic first win at this very track. And it doesn't get any more fitting than that.
God, that was cool. I love when I do this stuff and sometimes the stories just write themselves. It's almost like sometimes the game's self-aware. Like it knows what I'm doing. So that was pretty neat. We should do Lamborghini as an April Fool's Racing Infinity. Where's Subaru? Yes.
However,
Subaru.
Marlin appeared to have a rocket.
Should be Herbie. I remember seeing that movie in theaters. Jimmy, that car just winked at me. Are you feeling okay, Jeff? No, I'm serious. That car just winked at me. That scene was so funny.
Sending the 9 into the wall, but then Davey Allison slammed into Elliott, causing Elliott to go on a wild ride. Todd Bodine was also involved.
Watch out, Brett. Watch out, Jet!
Allison would be out of the race. All of the lead laps.
God, I just realized that could have been a meme. Hey, bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
Ernie Irvin and John Nemechek. Gordon was trying to put some distance between he and Irvin.
He's trapped in your copy. There is a real life picture of Bubba Niston out there. We have found it. Of what he looked like back then.
Then with 5 laps to go, Jeff Gordon had to pit, and
right
as that happened, Shauna Robinson would pass Sterling Marlin coming to the line because the caution had come out for Tim Richmond ramming into the 91 of Steve Grissom, causing a pileup that Dale Earnhardt barely avoided. It was bad luck and bad timing for Jeff Gordon, as Irvin would take the lead and the race would end under caution. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
On the final lap, Ernie Irvin and John Nemechek ran out of fuel.
Just like the damn Busch race. I kind of laughed when that happened. I was like, dang, really?
And after all of that, Shauna Robinson would go on to win the Southern 500, the first female to do so. And that makes it all 4 crown jewel races now won by
Shauna's collected all the Infinity Stones, man.
races in a row now have been won by females. A wild finish to the final crown jewel race of the 1990s. After a streak of
Man, what a
races
timeline
full
this
of
has been.
drama and
It's awesome.
dominating drivers, we had a race that was a smooth battle at Dover between 3 drivers who were overdue for things. Jeff Gordon started on pole and led early, looking for a second win to really bring himself back into the spotlight, and fought alongside Kyle Petty most of the day, looking for his first win since the spring, despite being a title favorite. However, in the final third of the race, both would be outdone by a guy we've waited even longer on, the man in black. Dale Earnhardt
Dale.
took the lead away in lap traffic just before final pit stops and pulled ahead after them. For the first time in a year and a half, the Intimidator is back in victory lane. After the 27th race at Martinsville, which was won by Jeff Gordon, here's what the standings look like. It's a tight battle between these 5 drivers, and it all comes down to what happens in these next handful of races. Now, before we talk about the end of the Winston Cup season, we must talk about a big story that you've been waiting for. One that came on Thursday, October 14th, 1999. A clock has begun a countdown at the Daimler Chrysler Center in Auburn Hills, Michigan. In exactly 500 days, we'll see a new beginning for Dodge in NASCAR. Dodge will make their return to the Winston Cup Series and more in the 2001 season. The program will be led by veteran crew chief Ray Evernham, who himself will be partly or fully owning Dodge's flagship team. We're still a ways off from finding out who else will join the new program, but one thing is certain.
Yeah, I kind of had to
Team
reference
Cup
Brock
and
Beard's
GM
video
run
there.
their teams. With more competition than ever, the sport could be due for a big shakeup in the next few years. Time will tell. Now, back to 1999, where we have a champion to crown. Then at the 30th race at Riverside, Dale Earnhardt started on the pole for this one with his teammate and title contender
It's exciting.
Jeff Green beside. Sterling Marlin dropped a few spots on the start as Jeff Green...
Oh, your 1984 idea?
Right behind him.
I mean, you know, it just depends. I know we got some other ideas laid out too, stuff like
Can
that.
this be the day
I saw.
Green gets that clutch win? The day was dominated by Green, with his closest competition being Moyes, as well as...
Man, how about Jeff Green so far in his career?
Moyes got ahead of Green during
Already a
the
title
pit stops,
contender and everything.
but Jeff Green rallied around her. That was until lap traffic became a bit of an issue. Moyes, Rudd, and
Someone say,
Dale Earnhardt
yeah, 1984,
all closed
as
in
Mike
on
Choi
Jeff
would say.
Green, with Patty Moyes taking it side by side in the final turn before the white flag. And coming out of it, Moyes would clear for the lead, and she would not look back. She managed to hold on through the final lap without issue, and Moyes is really getting hot suddenly. It's her 3rd straight top 2 finish and her 6th win.
Yeah, towards the end of the season, Patty just
We
went
may
off.
have a 6th title contender on our hands, despite her early inconsistency. Jeff Green stays in the fight with a great race all around, but he still just can't get that 2nd win. In the midst of our incredible title fight at Texas World, we had some new faces running up front, including pole sitter Rob Moroso leading a large chunk of the race, segments led by Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt. Not to mention the Busch regular Paige Jones running as high as 2nd and finishing with a top 10. This kid could be something special. With that said, the race...
Yeah, that 45 was pretty much based off of the 2311
Ernie
45.
Irvin and Kyle Petty. Irvin led after a final restart, and while Kyle Petty got a run to his bumper, he didn't have anyone to help push, as Ernie Irvin took home a 5th win on the season to get a boost in the points race. In the next race at Gateway, Jeff Gordon sat on pole with Tony Stewart beside. And not only that, Stewart took the lead on the first lap and led the first section of the race. A great run out of him, though eventually the regulars in Kawicki and Sterling Marlin overtook him. Kawicki led the first segment before Sterling Marlin took the lead. Though with final pit stops occurring in the last 15 laps, we had a big change. Marlin was the first to pit and did so with terrible timing as we had a caution in turn 3.
It's always fun when the cautions happen during green flag pit stops. It just completely messes up the race sometimes. It's just like, oh, okay.
His own day and forcing Robinson to make a stop and be forced to the back. The battle at the end was between Kawicki, Gordon, and Moyes,
Tony.
with Petty sticking his nose in it as the best running title contender. Jeff Gordon ultimately used the outside line to master lap traffic and get his third win of 1999. Kyle Petty and Jeff Green were the only two title contenders to finish in the top 10, and also Tony Stewart came away with a top 5. Between Stewart, Paige Jones, Kenseth, and
yeah, I'm not going to give anything away, but let's just say that there's a potential that the rookie class in 2000 is going to hit like crack, so heads up with that.
Jeff Gordon looked strong
it's going to hit like crack.
Round of green flag pit stops. But after that, Wallace had a rocket and took the lead.
Well, I'd say throughout the 90s, Bud Moore has been better off in general. They've been more stable as a team.
And here we are once again. The season
Atlanta.
Finale, the 1999 Napa 500. Once again, another packed crowd to witness the crowning of a Cup Series champion. Rusty Wallace and Shauna Robinson will be mathematically eliminated at the drop of the green flag, but hope to finish their season strong with a win. As for the championship battle, Ernie Irvan comes in as the points leader, just 59 points ahead of Kyle Petty, who is chasing his second championship and wanting to add on to the Petty family legacy. Then, 109 points back is Jeff Green, what many saw as the unlikely of the bunch to be.
Yeah, the circling of the cars, I'm rotating around it. I tried to do it like they did in the Thunder games.
He's got what it takes. Despite one win, he's been mostly consistent all season. And going back to Irvan, for a driver who from the late 80s to 1996 only scored 2 wins, but since joining AK Racing has won 9 in total to this point. It has been an incredible comeback story so far. But can he cap it off by winning a championship?
I'm at the wrong version of the track.
It all comes down to these next 500 miles.
Yeah, Jet made that Toy Story 2 card.
Ernie Irvan won the pole as he started alongside Jeff Gordon, with Jeff Green starting 12th and Kyle Petty 13th. Early on, it was a battle between Ernie Irvan and Jeff Gordon, as Jeff Gordon would take the lead 4 laps in. In the first
You sound like a commentator in NASCAR Thunder. I'll take that as a compliment. I'm cool with that. I'm not gonna lie, if they figure out a way, like, for mod packs and the Thunder 04 mods made by AJ Fails, I'd be willing to lend my voice to do stuff like that. Be like, Shane Van Gisbergen made his appearance in NASCAR in 2023, shocking the world with a win at Chicago. Something like that. That'd be cool. Oh, God. Napa made all sorts of funny commercials with Mikey over the years.
He's going to need more than just 5 bonus points.
Junior taught me how to do this. He's like, I didn't teach him how to do that.
Turning point in the race that would have major championship implications. Irvan to the inside of Gordon and Wallace, and oh no! Wallace and Gordon are in the wall as they ran into each other. Caution is out, and this will definitely shake things up. Jeff Green slams into Wallace. Major championship implications. And now Darrell Waltrip hits the 31 as well, and Jeff Green's championship dream is over. Absolute heartbreak for the 31 team. Absolute heartbreak indeed.
Lamartin Truex Jr. Oh yeah, Napa know how. Napa know how.
Who was hopeful to walk out with the championship.
Again, the fact that this race was very similar to the off-season playoffs finale is a little frightening. Jeff Green has a shot at the title, racks out.
was
Ernie
still
wins the
race,
title.
but it was now 30-30. John Nemechek would immediately
Like,
go for
hold
second,
up.
and he would take
That's
it
stuck in my
from
head now.
Irvin.
Oh, gosh.
He wants to not only lock up Rookie of the Year, but also his first career win. On lap 63, Rob Moroso chased the leaders down, and he would take the lead, trying to give RCR one more win for 1999. During that point, the top 10 would feature all three Earnhardts in the field of Dale Sr., Dale Jr., and Kelly Earnhardt, who was driving a special paint scheme for the Atlanta Thrashers' inaugural season in the NHL. 10 laps later,
yes.
Kelly Earnhardt would
The
find
Atlanta
a way to
Thrashers.
second, trying to
I
break
saw
the
them play
winning
twice,
streak
funny enough,
and
as a
bring
kid.
big momentum for
Once in
WR
St. Louis and once in
2000.
Atlanta.
He then went for the
You
lead,
screwed over
but
Jeff
Rob
Green.
Moroso was able to
I didn't
hang
mean
on.
to.
Ernie Irvin was shuffled back on the restart, but he would make his way to fourth place at this point, but not too long after came green flag pit stops. At this point, this had everyone on edge, questioning if there was enough fuel to make it to the end. Irvin stayed out for as long as he could before pitting, hoping if needed, it would be enough to help him secure the championship. With 25 to go, Shauna Robinson, who had her crowning moment as champion here a year ago, would take the lead from Rob Moroso. However, Moroso would come fighting back, but Robinson would hang on. Shauna Robinson would continue leading, trying to secure one more win on the season. Just as the season started in Daytona, it will end with the fuel mileage race. Robinson, Moroso, and Dale Earnhardt went down pit road, and soon after, Kyle Petty. As the final laps ticked away, Ernie Irvin was staying out as the leader. Irvin, who pitted later than the other leaders on that last cycle, stayed out. The 11 car of Ernie Irvin takes 2 laps to go, and you've got to believe at this point that even if he needs a splash of fuel, his
It's
points
crazy
will be
that
safe as
even though
he
Allen hasn't won a
crosses the
championship,
line.
he still
has
gets one as
5
an owner
wins on
now.
the season and is looking for his 6th in what has been a remarkable 2 years with
It's definitely a
St. Louis
feel-good
Racing.
story with
He got back
Ernie
on
Irvin.
the map with his win for Junior Johnson and has now risen to the top of the standings after over a decade in the Winston Cup. White flag for Ernie Irvin. Coming into this race, all he needed was to defend his lead. He'd clinched the title with 7th place or better. Even if he ran out now, he could almost certainly coast to the title. But that might not even be needed.
Speaking of
He
ARCA,
didn't
I'm
come
really
here
glad
needing to win,
that they're going to
but
be in the
he's
new
about
NASCAR
to
game.
walk it off anyway. And a driver who was an underdog just a few years ago has reached the summit. Salinas, California's Ernie Irvin is a Winston Cup Series champion, and he tops it off.
Damn it,
with his
Jet, I was thinking that because of Harvick. You had to say that. Oh. Those grandstands are floating. Yeah, it's not perfect, but there's a couple things I need to fix up on, but,
17 top
you know,
fives in
you do
25
the best you
top
can.
tens with an average finish of 7.77. Alan Kawhi
Harry
took a
Potter
gamble on
grandstands.
expanding his race
Ah.
team, and it paid off. Even though he himself hasn't won a title, he's done just about everything else, including winning the Daytona 500. The addition of Ernie Irvin benefited his team, and it saved a driver's career. Even though Irvin may be 40, it's better late than never.
Better late than never.
For the international exhibition at Twin Ring Motegi, the field consists of the top 15 in Winston Cup standings, as well as Daytona 500 winner Chad Little, Busch Series champion Tony Stewart, Truck Series champion Tony Roper, a handful of Winston West drivers, as well as a handful
Salinas,
of
California,
drivers.
with a population of
About
163,000.
1999 with our international exhibition at Twin Ring Motegi, as Rod Moroso started on the pole.
Can we start using Harry Potter as an insult like we do Mickey Mouse?
Moroso got out to an early lead, but on the second lap, Dale Earnhardt got into one of his own drivers in Tony Stewart, sending Earnhardt around, and Chad Little would get a piece of it as well. Moroso would continue leading after that, as we had green flag pit stops at lap 30. However, Rob Moroso went back down pit road after already pitting. That was because he was hit with a speeding penalty. Shauna
Humiliation.
Robinson would then take over the lead after that, Then we had our final set of pit stops.
Yes, that is Paige Jones in the Hello Kitty car.
Issues for the 1998 champion. Shauna Robinson would go on to win in Japan. And here's a look at all the winners as well as the final standings. As Patty Moyes had the most wins with 7, and when you add that to Kyle Petty's 2 wins and Shauna Robinson's 4 wins, that marks a total of 13 races won by Sapco Racing. And that is almost half the races this season.
Yeah, Sapco kicked ass in '99.
Meanwhile, the best winless driver was also our Rookie of the Year, John Nemechek of Hendrick Motorsports. Could he be the one to get Hendrick back to the top? We'll just have to wait and see in 2000. It's fitting that a decade of transformation for NASCAR ends with a driver who himself transformed, taking the title. Just 8 years ago in 1991, Ernie Irvan
stuff from the
finished
96-97 sets, yeah.
And DNQ'd over a dozen races. Now, he's reached the mountaintop of the sport after clawing his way back. He got back on the map with his second career win in 1996. Then, when Junior Johnson sold his car to Alan Kawicki, something finally clicked. Irvin had 6 career wins coming into 1999, and he walks away from it with double, 6 more wins, a second win at the Clash, and the Winston Cup Series Championship. At the NASCAR Awards banquet, Ernie Irvan spoke about the determination and longevity every driver has. He said, quote, "I remain thankful for everyone who's let me race for them in the past decade. D.K. Ulrich, Tim Morgan, Larry McClure, Junior Johnson, and now my boss, teammate, and friend, Alan Kawicki. By the time most athletes reach 40, they're on the way out. NASCAR is one of few sports where turning 40 doesn't mean the end. It could mean this is my peak. After all, the young guns are winning more than ever, but it's not the end of the road. Alan is building something that will outlast both of our driving careers, but we're still here to win. Alan got his Daytona 500 win. Now I want..."
Yeah, we're absolutely keeping the gold cars tradition. I like that.
And that closes out 1999. The 90s are complete. And what a decade this has been for NASCAR. A decade that's
SNL 92, what's up?
Fueling the sport's evolution. It began with a few oddities, from Davey Allison's one-win title to a moment that changed super speedway racing.
I know we kind of tossed around different ideas in the past with tracks, and you know, there was rumors about other places that wanted to build tracks and it didn't happen, so we wanted to kind of infuse that into the lore of SNL.
Blew the door wide open with a Busch Series championship and then a Daytona 500 upset for the ages. It wasn't just women making waves, though. Other names, new and old, made their mark. Kyle Petty became a champion in the same race his father ended his full-time career. Jeff Gordon won 2 Busch titles to become NASCAR's youngest star ever. Bubba Nissen brought home an independent championship that could be the last of its kind. And of course, Rusty Wallace asserted himself as the decade's dominant driver, becoming a 4-time champion. In 1996, the sport took to the world stage for a once-in-a-lifetime event at the Atlanta Olympics. In a season full of growth for the sport, with multiple new series, it was the crowning achievement in showing that, yes, NASCAR is more than a regional pastime. It's become nationally and even internationally known. Then, the end of the 90s pushed it even further.
How'd I come up with the name? I just spun it off of Friday Night Lights, honestly, and just thought, well, the Cup Series runs on Sundays. Sunday Night Lights. That's pretty much how I came up with it. So, plus I think it works well.
We love racing. It goes beyond the speed, thrill, and action that it brings.
Excuse me.
Daytona in humble beginnings to today's super speedways, old and new alike. Now we look to turn the page to 2000. There's names about to emerge that you all know and love, and some you may not know the stories of. Just like real life, time and fate will tell who rises to the top. Sunday Night Lights is a celebration of every driver who's ever set foot in a NASCAR vehicle. In real life, we know the stories of Earnhardt, Gordon, Kawicki, and the Labontes. But in this timeline, we've gotten to learn more about those who didn't make it to the mountaintop. Drivers like Bubba Nissen,
Yeah,
Patty Moore,
that was like my only fear was like, I hope that I don't get like somehow a copyright or C&D from Saturday Night Live.
from its 76-year history has had their stories told.
Sometimes I was scared to call it SNL for that reason, because yeah.
In a whole new way. It's out to celebrate the hundreds who tried to get there. The books of the 1980s and 1990s have been rewritten. Now it evolves even further. Next time these cars hit the track, it'll be the first page of the 2000s. That will do it for the 19th season of Sunday Night Lights.
I think the 2000s is going to be a really fun decade in this timeline. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing how everything nets out. We have some plans and ideas, and it's going to be fun to show them.
We created for the season just after this video ends. That will be shared on Stunod and linked in the description and comments for you to have fun with. Once again, we have tons of brand new paint schemes as well, including 7 different cars for Paige Jones promoting different Sega games. I'd like to give a huge thanks to Rose Jam, Ferris, and Jets Racing Designs for their work on these. Plus, a good chunk of them also have brand new contingency sets put together by Rose Jam. We're excited to add that to more cars going forward. As always, I'd like to thank Rose Jam for their work on the custom tracks for this series and the team rating system. I'd like to thank Ferris for his work on the driver rating formulas we use, and Jets Racing Designs for his work creating all the graphics you see in this video. NASCAR is a beautiful pastime that
earlier the plan with 2000 has been extensive.
No matter what walk of life you are, this is a sport.
Yeah, it'll be worth the wait.
Anything can happen in a matter of seconds.
You know, we wanted to make sure that
but celebrating the stories
2000 was going to be a big year, because I want to make every season bigger than the last.
Is special.
So
speed reigns supreme.
You know,
thank you
and
all
just
for
continue to
watching.
showcase why this sport's so cool. So,
the countdown to the year 2000
there's been a little bit of extra work,
begins.
but I'm really looking forward to showing you guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing how 2000 plays out. So, like I said, we're just really, really close to getting the races going at this point. So, yeah, worth the wait. Yeah, we do need a new hype tagline. We'll go to the drawing board. Oh, it's 4:20 for you right now? Nice. It's 10:20 for me, but nice.
Get close to somebody you love. In 25 seconds, it'll be the new year. In 20 seconds. And we're going to count it down from here down when we get to 10. Are you ready? Happy New Year early. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy 2000!
Oh, man. It's fun looking back on all that. Seriously, yeah, Jet, seriously, incredible work on that teaser at the end. So, really just hitting it home and building up the excitement for 2000. So, that was the most extensive work I've ever done in Blender. Yeah, I could definitely understand that. So, yeah. 2000 is going to be a lot of fun, so I'll stick around for a few more minutes. If you guys have any questions or anything else, feel free to lay them out. You know, good Lord, it's crazy to me that, like, in the span of 2 or 3 weeks, I can make a video that's like a freaking feature-length film, you know? I guess that's something to be proud of for sure, so um, oh man, I will say this though. You mentioned NYC, Benjamin. At some point, I'd like to do a straight circuit race for the Cup Series. The problem is, for the time, there aren't that many options. But, and obviously we're kind of limited in NR 2003. But I would love to get a street race going at some point. That would be really cool. So, will Nextel still replace Winston? Can't confirm that right now. Probably as we get closer to that time period, that'll definitely be a talking point, especially when we get to 03. So, yeah. Oh, man. What? Just about 20 seasons now that we've covered of this timeline? It's crazy. And I feel like since starting this in 2020, we've come a long way with in terms of video quality and stuff like that. I think the videos have been the best they've ever been. I still want to continue to, make it better than the last. Like 96 was big. How can I make 97 bigger? 97 was good. How can I make 98 better? 98 was good. How can I make 99 better? And so on and so forth. So, just being able to make every video better than the last is a heck of an accomplishment for sure. So, yeah. Yeah, so again, you know what? I'm going to show the Racing Infinity teaser again in case there are folks who didn't see it earlier. This here is the Racing Infinity Volume 32 teaser, and it pretty much speaks for itself. So, Atlanta will remain for good or will get reprofiled. I don't really know. It definitely stays in the pre-97 layout for the foreseeable future, but who knows what will happen down the road, especially into the 2010s and 2020s. So, but we're still a ways from that. Ugh. Interesting timing with that since we're running Atlanta this weekend. Trying to think what else I could talk about from the Daytona trip. Tuesday, we went to New Smyrna and saw the ASA National Stars Tour, I think it's called. So we saw that race. And then Wednesday I helped out Michael. He had a Legends race at Auburndale. Yeah, basically with North Wilkesboro, it's still on the Cup schedule, and it went through some renovations and upgrades to their facilities in order to have the Cup Series continue to race there. So, and then of course Thursday through Sunday, of course we were at the track and all that fun stuff. So it was a overall good time. And Monday we went the Monday before the 500, leading up to it, we went to the beach because if you're in Daytona, gotta go to the beach. Yeah, as of right now, yeah, because of Texas World still being around, Texas Motor Speedway just hasn't happened. But, it's hard to say, what things may look like down the road and stuff like that. But for the time being, yeah. Just like with Riverside being around, that's why California Speedway didn't happen. It's just because, Riverside's just down the road from Fontana. So to have two cup tracks that close to each other just wouldn't make sense. So that's why we came up with SoCal to still have an oval track, but it's in San Diego instead. So, but to still have an oval track in that region. So, oh man, it's gone on for about 2.5 hours. That's pretty good. I think it was a nice change of pace to, we've been constantly doing the mock races, and I think it was fun to do something a little different, and I think this went really well. So I'm glad it went well. So I was streaming from the PC, and I wanted to make sure, nothing went goofy or haywire or anything like that. Devil's Bowl for trucks is serving the Dallas market too, even if it's obviously smaller. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I forgot to mention that Devil's Bowl is based in the Dallas market. So we got a bunch of ideas planned for the next few seasons for sure, and we'll keep this story going. So we're at an interesting time. A lot of young drivers are coming up, and the drivers that we've known to love are getting up there in age, and we'll see how it all nets out over the next few years. It's going to be interesting to watch. Other tracks that could potentially be in Cup. We've discussed that, and we have some ideas, but I won't say much on that. But we do have some ideas. Again, it just comes down to what makes the most sense, and what's realistic, and everything else. So, yeah. Let's see, what time is it? 10:28. Okay. Cool. I'll probably go for a couple more minutes or something like that. I feel like, you stand at a podium, you're pointing out at people like, yes, do you have a question? But, yeah, Kyle Busch win the truck race today. Austin Hill win Xfinity. Who you guys think is going to win tomorrow? I'll leave it with that. I'm going to say Austin Cindric. I'm going to say Cindric wins tomorrow. I don't know why. Just Penske, the Fords were just dominant during qualifying, so we'll see how it nets out. Of course, I wouldn't mind seeing Suarez win again. That was awesome. Kyle Busch. Yeah, it'd be nice to see him get a win and snap that winless drought. A car will win. Yes, that is very true. Yes, somebody is going to win tomorrow. LaJoy. Yes. I thought for a moment he had a shot to win the 500 last week. That was wild. Briscoe will win and then get busted for an illegal spoiler. Yeah, no wonder he was fast in qualifying. He cheated. I'm sorry, I'm being funny. But, I have to make the joke of them cheating Yoders, Sorry. Brad Keselowski is going to win this race. Oh, yeah, I'd be down to see Brad win. That'd be awesome. Dude, have you seen the new consumer cellular commercials that he's been doing? They're so funny. Shut up, Chris. Poor Chris Buescher, man. It's like everything's half off. It's funny if you haven't seen them. My God, they're hilarious. Corey LaJoy, 10-time champion. Yes. I like that 0-1 scheme he ran last week. That was a nice paint scheme. Brad Shortsolowski. Oh my God. I feel like they gotta make a Shut Up Chris t-shirt now. I lost it when I heard that. Just shut up, Chris. He's just like, oh, whatever. Oh, God. That's just too funny. Of course, I like to see Priest win. I don't know why. I want to see him do well in the 60. You know what I'm saying? Because I really feel like this is a legitimate, good opportunity for him. And, potentially a last chance, if you will. So, obviously, things didn't end great at Daytona. But we'll see how things net out. Not just this week, but in the coming weeks moving forward. So... And, of course, heck, we may see Dodge in a few years, which is in Cup in a few years, and, of course, trucks next year potentially. So, which I think, again, is awesome. I fully welcome Dodge back to NASCAR if it means we get a fourth OEM. So, I'm all for it. Yeah. Priest will win at least one, but flip twice. Oh, God. Dude, I was sitting there during that red flag, and I I think somebody sent me. I was sent a picture, and somebody had already edited Priest's flip with Rocket League. I'm like, how y'all this fast? Come on, man. The wreck just happened like 4 minutes ago. Oh my god. The internet is so quick with memes nowadays. It's insane to me. Oh, jeez. Alright, well, last call for any questions or anything like that, and then I'll probably call it a night. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and, doing like a fun live director's commentary and, just sitting back and talking it over and stuff like that. That was a lot. That was fun. It was fun to do something a little different. So, yep. Stay tuned for the next Racing Infinity. The plan is for next Saturday for that video. Most of that video's done, so just need to polish it up and stuff like that, and we'll have that out for you. So, yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one for sure. And then, can I get a raise? Would it be funny if I just said "Shut up, Jed"? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yes. Mr. Krabs, can I have a raise? No. That's what it made me think of. It's funny because when he helps me with something, he'll end it with "bills in the mail." So, I always found that pretty funny. But, yeah. Seriously, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun chatting with y'all. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend and have a wonderful week as well. Well, as the late Jerry Springer would say, take care of yourself and each other. Enjoy the race tomorrow. Hopefully it's a good one. Piss poor impression, but good enough. Well, I admit I'm, a little tired, but I could probably, I could do Patrick Starr, but, yeah. Yeah. All right, I've yapped on long enough. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Have a wonderful night, wonderful weekend. Enjoy the race tomorrow. And remember that speed reigns supreme and racing is awesome. So, thank you guys so much, and I will see you guys next time.